Canadian bacon is actually really good, and it's nothing like normal bacon, and it's better than ham, which you guys seem to call Canadian bacon. I'm very good at writing. I write very well. Yeah, it's Shop Talk.
Do some of your audience members like the word fuck? Cool. Then I'm going to keep saying fuck because I care.
Hey! What's going on, everybody? So that opening is so good. This is not Chuck's Shop Talk. This is whatever the heck we want it to be. But that opening is just so cool. And you know what happened? Chuck was excited about it. He sold us on it. He played it, and he made us want to relive that thing again. That is part of what this podcast is going to be about. We want to talk about what excites us as creators. We want to talk about things like, the Kickstarter campaign that Steph and I have that excite us. We want to talk about what this guy and that guy and this guy over here, the things that excite him.
The guy.
I didn't point at you. I was pointing over there. Him. I would not call you a guy. So let's go down to it, and let's at least introduce the people that are on the screen so you know who you're going to be throwing the crappy comments at. So I'm not going to just be the host. Everybody here is going to take some turns being the host because you know what? Chuck is the freaking host.
Is he?
This is his StreamYard.
He's the host with the most.
to be honest, Chuck was the fifth person I think that was like, Chuck, we want to get you onto this thing with us. You know what I'm saying? And then we're like, Jim's gonna host it, and then Jim's like, I can't do it. Chuck, will you do it? Okay, cool, I'll do it.
I was like, my phone.
You just said you were the last choice, Chuck.
No, Chuck hosts like
Chuck is here because he was the only one that had a StreamYard account that we could use.
Chuck hosts like 74 shows a day. And so we didn't want him to make it feel like it was 75 because that's a lot.
I'm that one fucking lame kid who the only reason he has friends is because he has a basement where everyone can hang out. Like I'm like Eric Foreman to this group. Yeah, thank you guys.
You have the parents. Your parents are cool with us drinking beer.
Just David's like, but Mom, you said there would be cookies.
Right.
So
guys, let's start a band. I have a garage. Cool. You're in charge.
You're in.
So let's go around the horn and let's introduce ourselves quickly, and then once we do that, we'll again let people know what the whole point of this whole thing is. So up there with the sexy red shirt. Look at this. How is it that Chuck and I always have the same wardrobe? What's going on?
It's weird.
That's embarrassing.
Do we share
beforehand? You must.
Do we share a closet? So
I mean, I'd have to wear like two of your shirts, but okay.
So why don't you, everybody who's on this thread probably knows who you are, but just introduce yourself and let them know who you are and why the heck you're here.
What's going on, gang? I'm your boy Chuck. I'm a writer, editor, and creator of comics. Yeah, boom! It's all about me right now, and I'm just super excited to be here and talking about stuff and educating and having fun. Ba-boom.
All right, so my name is Matt Knowles. I am one half of Insymmetry Creations. We have a Kickstarter going on right now that just started clicking down. There's literally 70 hours left that deals with these two banners that are behind me. We will talk about that a little bit more as we get into this podcast, but if you would be so kind as to go and check our page out at some point and help us have our best campaign ever, we would be super, super appreciative. Not because we want that for ourselves, but because we know we've got cool stuff that you are going to feel like you have invested well in that product, and you're going to feel like there was money well spent if you go check out our campaign. But we'll do that. We'll talk about that a little more in a minute, because I'm going to pass it this way to the next person in line over here. I can never point the right way. What's your name? And where are you from, contestant number 3?
I am Jimmy Noble. I am the writer and creator of Totally Rad Comics. I currently reside in Texas, but I'll be making the move to Arizona this summer. And if you're looking for quality, come to Totally Rad, because not only do we have 9.9s, but we also have 10 quality comics. So if you're looking for adult comics, sexy clowns, sexy cave women, sexy post-apocalyptic women, sexy drug addicts, anything you name it, I got it. And we have bottle openers. So check us out, Totally Rad Comics. Oh, we got shirts.
Yeah, and they also make stories that you could read technically.
Yes, I write things.
Hey everybody, my name's Shaun. I am one of the co-creators along with Chuck on Belial. I also ink the book along with, I'm also, I guess, a freelance inker, I guess you could say. co-editor for Belial. And there's quite a few books out there, but that's pretty much sums me up, other than maybe some of the marketing guy for Belial. I don't know.
All right, and last but not least, but definitely smallest.
I'm Steph Cannon. I'm the other half of Symmetry Creations with that guy that's up there that doesn't know how to point anywhere, I guess. We have a Kickstarter going on, like you said. We're going to talk about it later. We've got some really badass, unique, one-of-a-kind offerings. We've got splatter vinyl. If you are a music fan, you're going to want splatter vinyl. I mean, you know, I also do some freelance writing work for Creepy Kingdom. I do some movie reviews, and yep. So we will get into more about what our campaign's about later.
So before we continue, there's a yes, look at that on cue.
Signed even.
Yeah.
So Chuck, we have a sixth person that's supposed to be on here. Why don't you let people know where the sixth person is in the most general and non-fact giving away way? Where is the other individual?
Eric just had to take care of it. He has a good emergency, you know. So he had to take care of something at the last minute. And I was like, okay, cool, dude, go take care of that. So hopefully he'll be popping in if he gets the chance.
Good emergency. Right. Is that like code for what goes on in like one of my books?
Nothing that happens in your books is emergency.
All right, guys. So we have
since when do prostitutes go door to door?
If he's having a good emergency, he's having more fun than we are right now.
All right, what's going on, Big Mike? All right, so I just put the link to our Kickstarter in the chat. If throughout the night, if we get backers, if we get dollars and whatnot, we're going to figure out crap to do. It might not be fun stuff like, you know, Chuck snorting hot sauce or Chuck doing cartwheels or Jim doing something, any of that kind of stuff. We're going to do something just to have fun with it. But that is there's two parts to this stream that we want to make sure you understand why this is even happening. This is not just us getting on here. Thanks a lot, Pops. I see Pops says get the Corey Steger cover. That. Thank you, sir. The reason why we wanted to get on here, Eric Cockrell, who's supposed to be on here with us, he put a post up on Indie Comic Conspiracy talking about he wanted to see people doing more pitching of what their book was for Kickstarters. And we all have fun and we'll put memes up there and, you know, hey, go back our Kickstarter and stuff like that. But he's like, I feel like there's not enough people talking about what is actually in that Kickstarter. And because there's so many projects out there, people are not talking enough about it and getting people behind their project. And Shaun, I don't remember what your comment was, but we were all involved in the thread. And you said, oh man, Steph Cannon, Matt Knowles, Eric, Shaun, this sounds like a good panel. And we started actually talking, hey, why don't we do that? Steph and I were already in talks with Jim about doing something. And it all kind of seemed like it was going to be on the same at the same time. And I guess you had mentioned Chuck as well in that point. Oh, we could all five get on this thing. And we were trying to get something with Jim, and we're like, we're trying to do it at the same time. Let's get us all on here together. We can talk about some of the things, the tips and tricks that we've all used to benefit our own projects, the things we've learned. I know that, and it's going to be a slight segue, but Chuck was just down here in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and Chuck and I went to dinner with a bunch of other creators, and I know Shaun and Chuck had said to Steph and I previously that they were inspired by what we did on some of our campaigns, and they tried to use that and level themselves up for their campaign. And I shared with Chuck, I said, just so you know, the level that you guys went to in the last Belial campaign inspired Steph and I to know that we had to level ourselves back up. We couldn't just stand pat because you guys had raised that bar. And that's something that, you know, that, like I said, we sat down over dinner at a very small table, and Chuck had a very limited amount of room. We had 14 people at about a 4 or 5 person table. But we still made it work.
Did you have to sit on his lap?
Chuck's hand was on Matt's leg the whole time. I heard.
That's right.
Well, he was sitting across from me, but I was reaching anyway.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I got the little T-Rex arms, but I tried.
Or was it?
But like I said, we've all kind of felt like, you know, it's nice to level up, and there's a lot of creators out there that are doing their first campaign or their second campaign, or creators that haven't had a lot of success that want to level up. And I think everybody on this panel right now has got some level of success. Doesn't mean we're all at like the biggest levels. I mean, I'm going to piss everybody off on here right now. Brian Polito started a campaign yesterday. It's almost $150,000. None of us is Brian Polito, but none of us claims to be. But we all know that we've done stuff that there's other creators out there starting want to do.
Yeah.
So Shaun, I'm going to go to you first. So when you saw that thread on Indie Comic Conspiracy and you were like, hey, this sounds like a good panel, what was the first thing that came to your mind that you're like, this is something I really want to share with the people out there, that whether it's something that really excites you about campaigns or something you wish you didn't see people doing and an alternative to what they could do? Just pick any one of those things. What's on your mind?
Well, first of all, when I was going out with all the names of people I thought would make a good panel, it's all people I felt like, even in that context, bring something different from the marketing aspect to the table. Everybody has their strong points. Everybody has what their interests are. And I felt all like you and Eric and Chuck and Jim, like you guys all have your own voice. You guys are all bringing yourselves to the table. And I think that is something, you bring your voice to whatever your marketing is. You're not trying to carbon copy anybody. And even if you use the template of what maybe somebody else has done, you still bring like your own flavor to the table. So in somewhat this be like the potluck that becomes like any good marketing effort, when you have people that are bringing different things that you never even thought of. Everybody has that special dish, that one thing that everybody's like, ooh, there's that. So honestly, you guys have all inspired me in one way or another, which is why your names came up. Now, as for having such a strong opinion on that is, I know that one of the things that, because I was the one that pretty much set up that Indie Comic Conspiracy Facebook page, and the ideal behind that was for more of a support system, like a share system that was more, like say, informative, so everybody can help each other out. I know when the page started, one of the main things was, hey, if somebody shares your stuff, turn around, share theirs. And if somebody has an active campaign, and if they share, if they take the time to look at your stuff, turn around, maybe share it to like 5 other pages. And that's what I wanted to set aside, was that there are definitely places to that is straight up just dropping Kickstarters, as we call the Kickstarter graveyards, where people are just cut, copy, paste everywhere, no context, no, this is what my book's about. It's just, ooh, hey, take a look at my pretty picture, and maybe a title and a link. And that to me is a disservice to the efforts that people are going through, because I know that for one of the books that I first was on, which is Into the Darkness, I would spend anywhere between 8 and 10 hours a day on top of my work day posting stuff to groups and trying to make things work. What's up, Eric?
Hey. Sorry I'm late.
All right, man. But no, I would spend all that time just spamming groups and everything. I was new, and at the time it seemed like other people were doing that. I thought that was the right thing to do. And then I took a step back a little bit when I had some personal things in my life that were going on that required me to step away a little bit, led me to restructure my posts. And once I started getting to know people like Chuck, and it became evident that making that connection with people was a much stronger tool. And so being more informative on the posts, making sure that people felt the tone of whatever we were working on, that kind of stuff. So as we were bringing Belial and stuff to the table, we kept wanting to say, okay, how is this going to represent us? And if we were going to be at a table, how would we like to represent that? And so we try to structuralize stuff around things that we'd be able to do in person just as much as we would through social media.
So before we continue, let's let the guy who, God bless him, this guy over here, help me point at him. So we've all introduced ourselves. So this is the guy that actually inspired us to even have this panel. Introduce yourself and tell us why you created this fine mess, sir.
So I'm Eric Cockrell. I am clearly an inspiration. And I work with Chuck on Essence House audio podcast. And I do a punk rock comic called Blister, and I worked on sci-fi comic called Dulce with Gene Hoyle, who is in the chat. And those are my big things lately. And then lately I've been peeved by Kickstarter promotion, and here I am.
So I'm glad
funny,
you. Go check.
I was so worried because I was like, oh shit, both of my girlfriends are going to be here at the same time in the same room. What am I going to do? How am I going to handle this?
We get along. I shaved my head to be more like him.
I know, I saw that.
Oh man, talk about a Chuck sandwich. They both got the black shirts on. It's got the red. It's like a ketchup
I've got a thing
sandwich
for
on
bald
burnt bread.
dudes.
Yeah.
I've got a thing for bald dudes.
See that?
Also, I should warn right now that I have some things going on tonight that I might get interrupted and have to duck off, but it's good stuff.
I told them that you had good stuff, a good emergency happening.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, Steph, why don't you tell us about something that you find is exciting, something that you really look forward to when we are doing our promotion? What's something you look forward to when we're promoting and getting out there with people? What's the thing that really like lights your fire?
I love being on shows like this, especially when it's with with everybody. When we have a lot of creators talking about bouncing ideas around and talking about the different ways, because what works for one campaign may not work for another. It depends on your fan base a lot of times too. I think if you have a Kickstarter that is a kind of fun and wild story, you got to be fun and wild with it. Otherwise, people aren't gonna. Whatever mood you set for your post when you're promoting is the mood that everybody else is going to feel about your campaign. It's really hard. Running Kickstarters is difficult. It's very difficult when you get in the middle of a campaign, you get the doldrums, and you have somebody back out, or you haven't had a backer in a day. It's very easy to get down in the dumps and just say, okay, everybody hates me, and and then you'll get a backer and you get excited again. It's like a roller coaster. But your posts are going to reflect that, and people are going to be drawn to your enthusiasm and your excitement. So if you're feeling internally like it's been a bad day, but you post something positive about your campaign, you might get a backer out of that. But if you just post, today sucked, I didn't get any backers, I don't really know if you're going to get a backer from saying that, and because it's not really the right approach. So my favorite thing is trying to be as enthusiastic and excited as possible. It's very difficult when you're tired and you feel burnt out, because we all do. I'm not going to paint this pretty picture like running a Kickstarter is super easy, but there is a lot of fun. There is a lot of times when we're thinking of ridiculous posts. Matt came up with the idea. We always have like some sort of gauge graphic to show how close we are to hitting the next stretch goal. And so with this one, he had, Michael Stilder with his ever expanding top hat. Just like goofy stuff like that. It's funny. We could have done, nothing. We could have just done a regular like bar or something, but we wanted to just kind of take it a step above. And if somebody notices that and they think that, okay, these guys are having fun with it, that's infectious. People are going to want to support you if you're having fun with your campaign, regardless of how you're feeling inside.
So because we're going to, I think, bounce back and forth with a lot of these ideas, is the concept, and this is something that I think, Eric, you shared it, is that a lot of times you need to be selling yourself. And I can tell you, and I know how to point downwards, that I can tell you right now, Jim Noble is one of the most likable dudes I've ever met in comics. And, just look at this guy. Just look at him right now. Look at him right now. You just hope for success for him. Now, granted, and I'll be completely honest, the books that Jim puts out are not the kind of books that I can have sitting around my house. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that I don't want to see him succeed. Because look at that dude. Look at that guy. Look at that look on his face. You want to be able to see somebody like that.
Who doesn't want to support a face like that?
And I can say every person that's on this podcast or on this stream has supported each other at some point or another. Everybody has put skin in the game to help each other out. And Jim.
Well, skin in the game. I mean, come on. I mean, you're throwing the pitch, and I'm knocking it out of the park.
So sometimes
his
you're
whole
selling
game
yourself.
is skim.
That's right. Sometimes you're selling yourself. Sometimes you're selling the product. Sometimes you're selling both. But you want to give people enough stuff to be able to latch onto, because they might not give a crap that Eric is a nice guy. They might just be like, all I care about is audio dramas. I don't give a crap you guys did a novel that goes with it. I don't give a crap if Eric is a nice guy or Eric is a total turd and he freaking knocks babies out of high chairs. All I care about is
who's been talking.
That's what the emergency
One
was.
time.
Dang it.
Yeah, you do it one time and suddenly you're the guy that knocks babies.
Maybe
I'm
just,
out of here.
but if they don't know, if Eric doesn't put himself out there as a nice guy and as someone that does novels and as someone that does audio dramas and doesn't give every possible thing that he can to try and give people something to latch onto, then he's hurting his own potential sales. Because if that information is not out there, how can they latch onto it? Chuck, agree or disagree? I know it's an agree question, but what do you think?
What, as far as like having skin in the game, like all of us supporting each other? Or?
No, as far as
There was a lot fucking said there.
Hey.
What the fuck is the question?
As far as I wasn't even an agree or disagree. It's, and I know you agree. It's making sure you put yourself out there. We talked beforehand that somebody said to us the other day, Chuck did like 1,000 podcasts in 2020, and I probably believe that because I felt like every time I turned my freaking computer on, Chuck was on something with somebody.
It was like a Truman Show.
It was insane, but you did that to put yourself out there to build your brand. So let's talk about that. Why did you do that? And what were you trying to put out there at that time?
Well, I believe that was actually three things, because it started with Belial and it went into Cthulhu Invades Oz, and then it continued with Essence House. So I had the three projects kind of overlapping each other, and we started the 13th of October, and stuff went straight through until the end of November. So I was just pushing constantly. And the thing is that I have two partners who do an awful lot of the background work that I'm not technically able to. And so I really felt like I needed to carry my weight in some regard. And so being able to be out there and just, know that these guys have full-time jobs. So for me, I can do a show at 9 a.m. I can do a show at 2 p.m. I could do a show at 3 a.m. You know what I mean? Like anytime. So if someone was like, hey, I need a guy for, okay, I'll be there. No problem. But I don't give a shit. Whatever it is, I'll be there. I did so many weird, messed up shows. I did one dude's YouTube channel. He had like 9 subscribers, I found out afterwards. So, but whatever, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm there. I'll do it. So it's just really about understanding what needs to be done and what needs to happen. And so like with Shaun and I, Shaun doesn't have the time that I have. So I went out there and I did everything I possibly could, but every chance that Shaun and I could be on one together, not only were we on there, but we were like, lights are on, action, we were entertaining, we were doing all sorts of fucked up shit, because that's Belial.
I have residual gummy bears and stuff. I haven't gone back to it, man.
I'm telling you what, Shaun, when you did that gummy bear thing, I literally was in fear for your health. Like, I mean that in all seriousness. I was like, are we going to watch this dude literally just
we're gonna watch a guy die on this thing?
I actually was concerned when you were doing that, man. I'm like, this guy's going to put himself in the hospital right now.
It was the best $400 I ever spent.
Yeah. No, I think it actually had a lasting effect too. I think my scale, my inner scale on how hot things are now has been forever altered. Because I went to a Buffalo Wild Wings the other day and ate their blazing sauce. Was like, oh yeah, no, this is all right. So my kid was looking at me like, what the hell? And that was after I showed him you can take off all the dirt and grime off of a penny. You can strip a coin with that blazing sauce. So I was just like, I guess this is my life now. So
But I think you're absolutely right, man. It affected me too, because now I'll go somewhere and they'll be like, "Hey, do you want to try this sauce?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, it's pretty good, man. That's a good sauce." So yeah, no, I get it. I totally
Like,
understand.
that's not how you consume it, but okay.
Sir, are you gonna be okay? Yeah, it tastes great.
Fine.
Well,
Notes of honey, terrific.
It's funny when someone's like, "Do you smell that?" And you're like, "No, I don't smell nothing. What are you talking about?"
anything at all.
So, Chuck, I do have a follow-up question for you there, and I don't know if this has been asked of you, and I haven't seen the 1,000 that you were on, but if it has, then answer it again. Did you feel like at any point that maybe doing that many shows overexposed you? And once you answer that, I'm going to roll this into another topic. Do you feel like you were ever overexposed by doing that many, or do you think it was all positives?
So I'm sure that there was probably people who had enough of me, and I didn't give a fuck. Fuck, I had enough of me too. Holy crap, trust me. But I didn't care, because the thing is, with the algorithm and everything else going on, and even it was Tom Hutchison who said, "Do you think that Nike gives a shit that the swoop is fucking everywhere? Do you think that Coca-Cola cares that every 20 seconds their symbol is everywhere? No, they don't care at all. There's no such thing. Why do we feel that way? That's stupid." And I was like, "Oh, dead on." He's dead on. So I just got into that mental mindset of, nope, there's no such thing. And I'm going to go out there. And if you don't like me for it, whatever, I bet you that I'll get more people than I'll lose. And that's fine.
Yeah.
So I want to roll this over into what the topic of the day is Kickstarter promotion. That's probably true. That's probably true. Chuck was doing
probably. Yeah. I don't remember. I was high on hot sauce, but whatever.
Hot sauce.
so let's kind of roll that topic and roll it over into what the topic at hand is Kickstarter promotion, crowdfunding promotion, promoting your brand, period. I think that some people have a misunderstanding of doing link dumps without any kind of of context to it. Let's just spam my link everywhere is effective advertising. And if there was, like you said, Nike and Coke, if there was one Nike out there that's doing it, it's one thing. If there's one Coke out there that's doing it, only one commercial can play at a time. That's one thing. But you have to be cognizant of what's going on around you. If there's 50 people doing Kickstarters out there and all 50 of them are all doing the same link dump, you know what's going to happen? People are just not going to go to that board anymore. People are just, it's going to become white noise. People need to get the term white noise into their head. You do not want to be white noise. You want to cut through the white noise. And if all you're doing is a link dump, what makes you think that your link is so much better than the next guy's? And somebody's going to be like, oh, I have to look at this one instead of these other 49. You've got to give them something to latch onto. And people are going to latch onto positivity way before they launch onto negative reinforcement. I can tell you right now, one of the things personally that turns me off to a campaign more than anything is somebody being like, "You must not like me if you haven't backed my campaign. You must not like me. You must hate me, because if you haven't put $1 to my campaign, that means you hate me. The only way I'm going to know if you like me is if you go and put money into my campaign. Then I'll know that I'm actually somebody that's likable." Nobody wants to hear that kind of manipulation. People know what that is. What you got, Chuck?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I saw someone right after this whole thing had blown up and whatnot. They had put up one of those kind of like, woe is me. And it was just like, please help me get to whatever percent. I don't remember. And I have the message right in front of me, because I was immediately like, no, not only do I not want to support you, but I want to like mute you. So rather than doing that, because that's the easy thing, I messaged them, and this is exactly what I said. I'm going to read the message to you guys right now. I won't say their names because that's not fair.
Agreed.
I think we may be talking to the same person, Chuck.
Possibly, but this is what I sent them. "Hey man, some advice. Don't ask for help. You want a charity case, you're a dude with a fucking amazing book and a dream. Sell the dream, sell the book, and show people what you've got going on. I know it seems hard, but people want to get behind an event. Something cool, not a fucking GoFundMe for comics, So show me what they're missing, or show them what they're missing."
I think that's a great point. Steph, what do you think about that? I know I just want to make sure we're pointing. So, when you see somebody back there, when you see somebody promote their campaign outside of the art, outside of something like that, is there a specific phrase or a specific thing that people have done that has caught your eye that's made you be like, man, I really want to go look at that campaign?
Well, it goes along with what I said earlier. It's enthusiasm and excitement. If you can't expect somebody to be excited about your campaign if you're not excited about it. And the poor me tactic does not work well at all. Don't do it. Do not do it. Especially don't say that phrase that Matt just said, nobody likes me, because that's just, in general in life is not fair. Okay. We learned that very early on, and that we teach it. Most of us have kids here. You teach your kids, you can't get through life just with the poor me act. It's just not attractive at all. It's not an attractive quality at all in somebody. So, but I like unique campaigns. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we try to run unique campaigns. If you're doing something different in your promotion, I can't help it. I love the silly memes. I love it when people create silly memes and they change it for their Kickstarter. That makes me laugh every time. If it's going to make me laugh, I don't care if it's the 15th time I've seen it. If it makes me laugh, I'm going to pay attention to their campaign a little bit more.
But to add on to that, one of the things we talked about is don't have that be the only trick in your bag of tricks. You want to have that, because that's something that Chuck and Shaun did that really they leveled up their game by coming up with some great memes.
That was all him.
Well, it's some great stuff. But the thing is they had meat to back it up. Oh, look at Jim up there. Look at that. Oh, but there was stuff that they had meat behind it. It wasn't just this top level stuff. There was actually a solid campaign and solid things behind it that really helped them to be able to say, oh, I caught you with the meme. Now I'm going to keep you with the solid item in the background. And that's a huge thing. I saw Jim over there. Jim was showing off one of our shirts over there. So, showing off the dragon, showing off the Dragon Lord coaster.
The coaster.
Yeah.
So
mine are always right there.
Oh, look at that! Look at that!
Always right there.
All right, so to go back to what you were saying a little bit earlier about the dropping the empty links and stuff and just throwing them out there without any context and stuff. For those people that I know that they like to think about or talk about or hear about the algorithms and how they work. Honestly, if you just put empty links and they're not engaging, you're essentially nerfing yourself from everybody else's line. You're nerfing yourself from the groups that you are posting to. You're nerfing yourself from your friends' walls that are more inclined to back you. You're nerfing because you're getting no interaction. Nobody's clicking on it because there's nothing that's going to grab them and pull them in. So essentially you are messing with your own algorithm. So that way, when you do post something that is meaningful, when you do post something that excites you, even if let's say you fund and complete your goal, nobody's going to see that celebration because you've nerfed yourself. You've robbed yourself of that opportunity to be seen by just throwing pamphlets out there rather than giving somebody something to sink their teeth into or finding out what's going to make them engaged.
I think that's a great point.
Jim has something to say.
The jump on also so there's two things, and now one of these things I know I pointed out to Chuck once, and I said, this is fucked up, right? And he's like, yeah, I agree, this is fucked up. Two things you should never do. One, never in the middle or towards the end of a campaign ever say, this will be my last Kickstarter, it's a bad experience, I'm never going to do Kickstarter again, because that's not good if you're trying to get backers, if you're trying to get funded. Also, here's another thing. Don't say that you're going to blow all the money from the Kickstarter on bills, because if there's any reason for not to backing this campaign, it's that reason right there. It's because you should not be depending on your bill payments based on a Kickstarter that's not even funded yet. And that also shows backers that, hey, this guy's just going to take our money and blow it on bills. What's the possibility that I will even get this product at this point?
Yeah, that's
scary stuff.
That's really bad.
That's scary stuff. And so another thing too is that the things that we're talking about right now, these may all be things that have worked for us right now, but I guarantee you, if we have this conversation in a month, if we have this conversation in 6 months, the things that work for us may be completely different, and everything we're saying right now may not work. I'll tell you a case in point, which is something I saw recently, not going to name names, but it was actually a really cool thing. Something that used to be done that was acceptable was somebody being like, I'm going to put a post up and we're going to tag 99 random people in there, and it's going to go onto your thread. A few years ago, that used to be okay. Right now, if you have not asked me to tag me,
I was never okay with that.
or I'm not involved with the project. I just put a post up and I tagged, I think, 11 people in the post. But the people I tagged, Steph, every one of the artists that were involved in our campaign, every one of the musicians that were involved in our campaign, people that have a vested interest in it. If somebody just blindly tags me in a post, I get personally offended because I'm like, you're telling me what is going to be in my thread. You are forcing your comment into my thread without even asking me. But I saw somebody recently that was like, hey guys, I want to do one of these threads. Tell me right now who is okay with me doing this. And I was like, you know what? I personally wouldn't do that, but I thought that was really cool of that creator to ask people, hey, look, I want to be doing this throughout my campaign. Let me know if I can tag you, if I'm able to share this to your thread, and if you're okay with it. And I think he's probably got 10 or 20 people that said okay in the thread. I'm like, that's the way to do it right now. They were basically opting into his promo.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get tagged in these nonsense posts, and then people are commenting on it, and you're getting notifications.
Oh my God.
And it's just like, I have nothing to do with this. Like, why do I keep getting notifications?
I'll mute that if that happens.
Well, and that stuff hits your notifications, and as soon as I see that, like, it's like you end up having this list of all the things that you basically reviewing your timeline, and as I'll do that, I'll be like, nope, untag, hide, like all that shit. Don't fucking. I'm not your cheerleader. Yeah, like I'm not your cheerleader. I'm not on your payroll. And I've told people whose payroll I am on. You paid to use my name. Go ahead, tag me in whatever the fuck. Like, as long as it has something to do with the campaign,
it's different.
I don't care. You paid for it. Yeah.
Ooh, Mike brings up a good point. He says, someone sent me a form message that said, back my project, nothing personal, no backing there. That has got to be probably my top pet peeve, especially if it's somebody that I don't interact with on a regular basis, or they've sent me a friend request and have accepted it, and that's the first thing they do is send me a message, and it's like, hi, blank, and then it's just, it's like not even like the name, and then it's just an obvious that they just copy paste it and send it to all their friends. Do not do that. That is
also don't play on people's sympathies by going, hey, us fellow Texas creators got to stick together. You could help me fund my campaign. It's like, hey, I'm a Texas creator. Why wasn't I asked to be a part of this campaign to begin with? Why am I the rings?
I've been bitching about that same thing, homie. That exact same. That one burned me.
There's some good comments in the thread. I want to make sure we don't miss them.
Yeah.
Gina Hoyle says, I would like character profiles and more Kickstarter posts. Who's the protagonist? Tell me more. That's a great point. One of the things that Steph and I had to make sure in our campaign right now, we had a couple of people ask us. They're like, I know you guys have a metal album in here, but I need to know more about the comic. And so we've tried to make sure, and even though it's in the campaign, we tried to make sure we've been very much more vocal about it in the discussions. Hey, this comic, Heirs of Isildur Nightmare Scenario, basically is going to be answering the question from the end of our last campaign, our last arc. The main character, Michael Isildur, has been left in mortal peril. Is he alive? Is he perished? Or is he somewhere in between? That's the main thrust of it, So we tried to make sure, hey, look, this is a comic about this main character and why. He's in mortal peril. You at least know there's something about the character, not just about Steph and I. Back over here to the comments. David Galliano, look at these great creators. I want to be a Texas creator. Shut up, David Galliano. Florida claims you. Florida claims you're not going anywhere, son. You just put your butt right here.
You don't want to be a Texas creator. That's why I'm leaving.
No, you don't. Like, the two Texans here are telling you no. Going to Florida is like a breath of fucking fresh air, which, by the way, it's not. Like, in actuality, it's not.
No, it's more like a breath of wet air.
Humid air.
Right? And yeah, it's like a punch in the face of humidity. But as far as the creator concerned, oh, man, they're so tight and all this kind of shit. Like, Jim and I've worked very hard just in my little area to carve out a couple guys that I can do with tables with and whatnot, but that's not easy. Like everybody's very, no, you don't want to. I don't even know how to get into it. You don't want to be in Texas. I feel like Billy Madison who's like shaking the little fat kids for the love of God. No,
don't you ever say that.
So there's a couple other good comments in there. Chris Matt, I'm not sure if he put a comment before, but I love it. He said, my comment is not good. Is there some way to apply, because he wants to be apply to be a Texas creator? Alfie has a good comment here, and I want to make sure you can just work this, but Alfie's comment is killer. What you got, Jim? And then we'll go to Alfie's comment.
I want to point out that you guys are literally doing a vinyl record, and what I pledged for? I pledged for the vinyl record. I don't have a record player, and I was
cool,
so
right?
on that because I was like, because nobody's ever done that. No, as an indie comic book creator, nobody's ever done that, and I don't think anybody ever will. Except like you guys might do it again, but like I don't think anybody else will. And it's like it's so cool. Like, why would you not want to get that?
We hope you guys in the chat do that.
You guys, to me, that's one of the biggest things that spoke to me consistently through every single one of your campaigns. Is every time I see you guys doing something different that I haven't seen somebody else do, and I'm always excited, if not just for the book, but to see what new thing you guys are doing, because I know there's always something badass that you guys have between like that dragon mask that you guys had on the last one, like everything you guys are touching, everything has your guys' flavor to it. Everything represents your brand. Everything represents who you are in your comic off season, so to speak. It is who you are, and it speaks true.
You.
I appreciate that. And yeah,
we try. That's what we're aiming for.
So Chuck, go back to Alfie's comment. This is something that is we've had a really big issue with this campaign. I understand your point, Matt Knowles, but I barely see your Kickstarters. Now, here's the thing about that is frustrating right now. We had a situation happen twice during this campaign. We're at 70 hours left, and twice in the last 2 weeks, we've had it happen. And once a couple days ago, where somebody who has backed every campaign, somebody who is a friend of ours on social media, somebody who has opted into our email list, was like, oh, I didn't even realize you had a campaign going on. Because Facebook nukes posts, like Shaun was saying, our email list gets sent to spam, our previous Kickstarter campaign updates go to the promotions on Gmail. So they legitimately may not even see what you're doing, even if you're doing everything right. So there's legitimately times where we are individually messaging our previous backers and going, hey, man, you may have seen our campaign, but you may not have. We just want to make sure you know what's going on. And Steph, what would you say? Probably 8 times out of 10, they're like, I had no idea.
It's really weird, and I feel like it's happening with this campaign more than our other ones. And the other thing that I'm seeing a lot too is where you can't even mention the word Kickstarter on Facebook. You're having to kind of, like do like the exclamation point instead of the I, or and then a lot of people are getting flagged for spam for posting too much on Facebook. So I'm not entirely sure if Facebook is changing, not just the algorithms themselves, but just the way that they go about these types of things, and that's what making it more difficult for people to see it. But we're posting a lot, like it's
fluid. Their algorithms are fluid. They're always changing. So
see, that
you
makes
might
sense.
You might have a live feed that you guys do today, or that Chuck does, or something, and everybody will see it today. But tomorrow, for some whatever reason, then it's going to be memes, and then other than that, it's going to be actual just pictures or different like quotes, different things like that. If you use their backgrounds with your words and it's an original, that you're saying, but you're using their little graphic deals, like on Facebook, those things will pop up. And to kind of get around some of that stuff where Kickstarter, crowdfunding, Indiegogo, all of those keywords are being noticed. And the more that they come up, the more they catch on, and they'll catch on to that exclamation point. And so one of the things I know that I did for Belial when putting together a lot of the memes and stuff that we were doing is if I have it here, towards the bottom of this picture right here, is we also put like our Facebook page or whatever towards the bottom, and we put on Kickstarter or something else was there to kind of direct people that will still remain. So you have to include all the ingredients in posts. So here in this one, you can see that I included one of the panels from our actual comic book. It's in a meme format, but I also put the original text in the bottom, and then I put the link, like the web address or whatever, to the Belial page in the bottom. Just hitting up 4 or 5 different ingredients for this one post to try to make it hit. And so it got the least amount nerfed in the end. So that was one of those things, just knowing where or how to incorporate multiple aspects of whatever their algorithms are speaking to at the moment. And you can notice by watching your own line and which things pop up.
Man, there's so many good questions out there in the chat. So before we get to that,
He's raising his hand.
Oh my goodness! Oh, you got you say what you got to say. Say what you got to say.
I got the answer to that question.
Okay, well then don't say what you got to say yet. Let me go back to something Shaun said really quick. When Mark Zuckerberg talked about, what was it, about a year ago, with all the big changes in Facebook and what they wanted to do and all that, they pushed really big about making sure that he wanted people to stay on Facebook. He wanted people to stay in groups. He wanted people to promote to groups. And it was stated then that posts that are on regular pages that have links that go off of Facebook are going to be nuked. So that's why if you're a creator, you want to very, very rarely on your regular post put a link to anything, whether it's a YouTube link or a Kickstarter link, in the actual post. Put it in the comments. It's difficult to always do that, but you want to put it in the comments, because if you put it in the regular post, you're gonna get nuked. Now, if you put it in the regular post in a group post, that's different, because it's a group post, and the group post isn't going to get nuked as much. But on your regular profile, you don't want to do that.
Here's the thing too: a lot of people will do that, and they caught on to that, and that's good. But if they notice that somebody shared, if you ever notice that somebody has shared yours and you did not include the link in the main context of that, and they just shared it, they're trying to support you, but they may not understand that that link has to be there too. You have to be willing to put in the extra legwork to follow up in their comment section to put the link. That is your portion of supporting them, supporting you.
Yep. I had to do that a couple times just today. So Jim had a question. He had both hands up in the air, maybe even 3.
Well, to answer that, so the question here, so where's the line between promoting and spam? The way I view it, and I've been doing this the same way, well, not the same way, I change it up every campaign, but the thing with promoting your Kickstarters on Facebook, you never put the link into your post. So if you're talking about your post and then you put the link with the actual text, that's a problem. The worst part is when you take that same post and then you share it, and you share it to multiple groups, that are promoting indie comics or, other Kickstarters. And the issue with that is you're saying the same thing to the same 20 groups, and it's not original. So what you got to do is you got to make it original each time you're posting. If you got I have nothing better to do. This is what I do full time. So for me to go from group to group to post, I may be posting the same picture, but I'm making the text unique, and I'm not copying and paste it to another group. I go to a new group and I post it there. And that way, it doesn't. That's also a way that I've never been banned. I've never been reported for spam. I've never been blocked from posting by doing this. It's the number1 way to do it, because honestly, because I'd rather see people do that than just saying, hey, let's say Schmuckatelli posted in 20 groups, and it's the same copy paste post in every single group, and it's like, I'm not even interested at all. Like I get a notification, you post in 20 groups, and it's the same thing. Whereas you look at me, I'm posting in 20 groups, and it's like, hey, check this out. And it's like, if you like the 80s, and then the next one's like, oh, by the way, it's like 70 covers, 3 different titles, and then the other one's like, if you like David Harrigan covers, or if you like Keith Garvey covers, or if you like stories written by Giovanni Brundo or Jimmy Noble, ironically,
So Chuck, Chuck, you're not as animated as Jim was with both arms up in the air, but you are. It's like you're at Storage Wars, and you're like, I got a bid. I got a bit of.
You can see my finger. I know what's up.
He was holding it up.
The power of the
that
finger.
very well, Chuck.
Yeah. There's a lot of power in this finger, my friend.
Where's Wendy?
she can't handle this right now. So anyways, no, here's the thing that a lot of people forget. Those 20 groups he was talking about, we're all fucking members of all fucking 20.
Yeah.
We see I'm members of 15 of them.
Yeah.
So even if I didn't see all 20, I at least saw enough that I'm like, shut the fuck up. That's the spam.
Yes.
That's the thing, is that I'm seeing the same thing over all these groups, and a lot of times Facebook even puts them all together. So you end up with like, to use like Totally Rad, it's like, oh, Totally Rad posted in ICC, in Indie Comic Conspiracy, in Kickstarter, blah blah blah, in this place and that, and I'm like, you're just like, fuck Jim, I don't give a shit. But because he has different things every time, it's like, oh, okay, it's easier to digest and whatnot.
You're not like, because like for me, like I'll roll my eyes when I see someone post, like when I know that's all they're doing is the copy paste, and I'm just like, oh, here we go again. They're posting the same crap.
In that same vein, one thing that has happened to us multiple times, there is a difference between being inspired by what somebody is doing and going, I like their method, I want to emulate that, and straight up copying what they're doing. If it is so blatant to the point where you're just copy and pasting their post, you have to realize that those things are going to go like post in the group back to back. So if you see somebody talking about their Kickstarter and you're like, hey, I really like the way that they did that, I'm just going to like copy paste their text and use it in my own posts. It's just.
Yeah, we had that happen one time before. We had that happen one time before on it wasn't even a short post. It was a long post, and it was like talking about Belial, and they literally just took the word Belial out and they put their own title in there, and we're like one, we're all writers that are going to be seeing this, and that's legitimately plagiarism. And if you are plagiarizing somebody else's post, what do you think? Be thinking about what's in your book. If you couldn't even take 10 seconds to come up with your own original concept for a post, you are now making people question if you have the ability to carry an entire book. So don't plagiarize, be inspired. Like we talked about earlier with us, with Chuck and Shaun being inspired by us, and then us in turn being inspired by them. Right. Be inspired, but imitation is one thing, plagiarizing is another. I want to give a quick one. Greg Moquin has done some cool stuff. Like there's been a couple times we put a post up and we said, hey, let's change this up a little bit, and we want you guys to do this. Post your link, but you also have to post something up about something you like about somebody else's thing as well. And then Greg had a version that he did, and he even said, hey, I saw what you did. I was inspired by it. I turned it around a little bit and created my own version of that, and he got some hits. That's over
cool.
there.
We're okay with that.
Totally cool, because that's taking it and making your own thing out of it. But if it's, hey guys, look at this brand new thing that I'm doing that nobody else has done, and it's literally back to back with somebody else's post, you're actually hurting yourself more than you're helping yourself. And we really, really, really are saying, please don't do that, because all you're doing is making people question your ability as a writer if you can't even write a post.
Okay, Jim.
Also, to jump on that, be inspired, but also when you see something that you don't like, don't make a post literally after that person posts their campaign, bashing that person's campaign, not directly, but just by saying, well, we don't need, to sexualize women, blah, blah, blah. And they know nothing about what I do. And then, because then you get spite posts, because then you follow that person who wants to be, negative, and every group that they post in, your goal now is to post right after they post, promoting your campaign and saying nothing but nice things. Because literally, like I've never said anything negative to anybody on Facebook, on any of these indie groups, but for some reason they'll see something that I do and they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't even know you, man.
Just a rule in life in general: if it's not your thing and you don't like it, don't shit on it, because it's somebody else's thing, and just let people enjoy things and let people like things. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean that somebody else can't like it. There's so much crap that has gone on in the last year. If there's something that literally brings somebody joy, no matter what it is, just let them enjoy it and post about it and be excited and happy about it. Don't just post something else like you were saying and just crap all over it, because that just because it's not your thing doesn't mean it's not somebody else's thing. It drives me absolutely crazy.
So we have a good question here from Brian Manel, who's on the show all the time. He asks really good questions. So I actually want to ask this of everybody in the panel. Were there any difficult hurdles for you when you first started advertising your campaign online that you had to overcome and get better? So I'm thinking probably in some of your earlier campaigns, guys. And is there anything you still think you need to improve on? Eric, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Yes. Eric, you're taking this one first.
I had Blister with my first Blister Kickstarter. It's very, there's F-bombs in like every sentence of that comic. And I had some anxiety about that because, for one, my family was going to be seeing it, and they know that I swear sometimes, but still, it's very public. And your friends on Facebook with your kids' teachers and stuff, and so it was a little bit weird. I had to kind of get over that, I guess. I don't know if that's the kind of answer he was looking for, but. And personally,
that's your answer, honey. It's your answer.
So it was kind of getting over that and kind of, I guess, owning it. Although I also started a second Facebook account and kept the teachers on the other one. So,
Matt, what about you?
So I know for us, one of the things that Chuck, Sean talked earlier about. Making sure you had a picture, had a bunch of text on it, make sure you had all your stuff there. And I came from that same kind of mentality of wanting to do that. But Kickstarter doesn't want you to do that. So you have to understand the platform that you're on. And Kickstarter even will tell you if you do that and you've got tons and tons and tons of crap on your thing, it's very unlikely your campaign is going to get picked to be Projects We Love. It doesn't mean that you just put up a single picture and you're going to get Projects We Love. But if you put up a picture that is just nonstop wall of text and you've got all your logos and all your everything on that picture, they're going to have less likely chance of pushing that to the top of their algorithm. Also, when you look at on Kickstarter, you get 35 characters and then 135 characters or whatever it is to put your title and then your subtitle. And they want you to make sure that you are hitting on everything you possibly can in those few things. Maybe it's informational, maybe it's not. The worst thing you can do is talk about, hey guys, this is my book and my book is good and I really want you to like my book. They are like, nobody wants to hear that because you know what? Everybody thinks their book is good. Everybody thinks their book is amazing. Nobody wants to hear you say it. They want to know, tell me what it's about, so I can decide if I think that sounds like a cool concept. I know that right now Terry Mayo has got Buddy up there, and we've known Terry for a long time.
Right now too.
We've known Terry for a long time. Terry is legit. Terry just has a knack for how to write. And hey, what's going on, Terry? I didn't even say that just because you're right there. But the pitch that he has for Buddy was it's Milo and Otis meets The Exorcist. That is all I needed to see about that book, and I was already sold. I'm like, he just sold me on this book in less than 10 words. And that is still something that is difficult when Steph and I are putting together our pitches and all that, to find the shortest phrase that we can that can catch people and bring them into the book. So that's the thing that we're trying to work on still, is how to get the best little quick pitch that we can, the best elevator pitch, because that's something we need to emulate from Terry Mayo, is how to come up with the best Milo and Otis versus that meets The Exorcist without saying that. Maybe we say Steph, maybe the next campaign, maybe we say The Exorcist meets Milo and Otis. That'd be
Garfield meets Freddy versus Jason.
Oh.
Yes.
We used to do that on the Indie Comic Conspiracy on like a promotional day. We challenge people to not post pictures, not post anything else other than some sort of an elevator pitch. And one of the good things that came out of that is like early on with Belial, we would put stuff up. Even Chuck would do it or I would do it. And people would come back with recommendations. They'd rewrite it for you. They have some pretty killer instructions, and you can find different things that, hey, this kind of thing resonated with them. This is how they thought you should say it. And they actually hand you a lot of ingredients because everybody is a little bit different. And we took a lot of that and we kind of refined that into. It helped us, I think, with the synopsis that we have on the back of issue number 1 that we felt was solid enough to even include on the back cover issue number 2. So it really helped. So going outside of just the pictures and everything else and the deep side of the storytelling, having a good hook, like think of it like if you go to a convention or to a table signing or something, you're trying to grab somebody's attention. Are you going to spew a paragraph at them, or are you going to try to snag them with as few words as possible, make it as impactful as possible? What can you do to get that impact? Because when that's your voice, and your voice carries through what you write as well, and people, I think, forget that.
Hey, Chuck, I do have a question for you about, self-promotion here. Did you say you're able to bring up our campaign in the back? There's a reason why I'm saying this specifically for the people on this panel. There's a reason you only can do this one time in a campaign, and if you're able to pull it up, I'd like to talk about our campaign. There's a reason why I want to bring it up, and you'll see why if you're able to show it.
No, if you're able to share your screen or something, I can do that. But I'm
on
not
my
good
tablet,
at this.
So.
I can pull it up if you want, Chuck.
That would be great.
I do have access.
But yes, you do. Yes, you do.
If you
that's my own time.
There's a reason why I pulled it up. You'll understand when you see it why I want to bring it up.
I think I know why.
Well, while he's working on that,
give me a minute.
While he's working on that, something as we're going around and we're giving our tips. Personally, this is going to be one of those "you're so vain you probably think this song is about you" kind of thing, because this came up very recently. But this is not about people specifically. When I first started Welcome to the Void in 2018, I wasn't that well known. I had it was not easy to get on other people's shows, and I don't even think I got on that many shows during that campaign. But in order to do shows, I made my own. I went live at least a couple times a week. I would entertain. I would talk about things. I would joke around with people. I would do whatever I could. So if someone else won't put you on their show, make up your fucking own. This is what that is, guys. Anyone can do that.
Seize the day. Don't
so
make that work.
And I honestly, I like most of the shows that I get on, I have to ask. Hey man, I'm doing this thing right now, or and actually ask way ahead of time. I have people. I had someone just contact me and be like, "Hey, my campaign is starting in a week, and it's going until mid-June. I would love to be on Chuck's Shop Talk." I'm like, "Well, that's great, but I'm booked until July, so that's a no." And they were like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah, you got to come to me sooner." And I mean, that's the same with a lot of shows. So when you go, "Oh, Chuck was on 50 shows," yeah, he was, but Chuck was fucking hustling 2 months prior because he knew he had to take his time to get on all those shows.
And something that's funny as a follow-up to that, talking about making your own opportunities. We have been on a show with Chuck. This is our 5th campaign. Every campaign, as far as I know, we've been on some kind of show with Chuck. Every person on here, we've been on some show during our campaigns. This is our 5th campaign, and we've got, a certain number of time left. And we were not on a show with any person on here during this campaign. I was like, how are we going to get through a whole campaign and not be face-to-face with Chuck? This is crazy. So we put this panel together, and here we are. So here we go. This is why, for the people that are in here, you can do this one time a campaign. We have 69 hours left in our campaign.
69 hours.
69
I was going to make a comment about this, by the way, because I was waiting for the hour to roll around, because I was like, I got to say something when we get to 69.
All right, so Jim, what were you thinking, man, when you saw that? I mean, is that a number you're familiar with the comics that you do?
I mean, I got covers that may or may not look like that number.
Was this live stream planned around this number?
Yes,
absolutely.
We knew we were going to hit 69.
I'm on the East Coast. I'm on the East Coast. I would not plan a live stream at 10 o'clock at night on a Thursday. So if we can, while we're here, so Eric Cockrell, just pulled this up. We just got a backer. Heck yeah, we're at 10,039.
The backer was me because I was embarrassed that I didn't back you.
Thank you. So we just got a backer. Yay, that's awesome. So
you're gonna get me anyways.
we have 69 hours left. We are only a few $100s away from the best campaign Steph and I have ever had. For us personally, that's something we would like to have. That doesn't help you guys in any way. That would help us out. That'd be really cool. However, we just passed a stretch goal at 10,000. So we've already had people get holofoil trading cards and different things like that. We just unveiled a sticker set where everybody that is a physical backer will get one of those stickers. If you want them all, you can add them all on in the add-on section. But if we could take a second, just so people understand what our campaign is, that are faithful watchers of Chuck that may have not seen one of the other 8 bazillion shows that Steph and I have done. The campaign is Heirs of Isildur versus Tales from Nocturnia. It is a 2-part campaign. The first part is the album that we've talked about before. It is on MP3. It is on CD. It's going to be available on multiple versions of splatter vinyl. So you're going to have 5 songs that are going to be for Heirs of Isildur and 5 songs for Tales from Nocturnia. Now, if you really have no clue who we are, you're like, what the heck are these 2 things? Heirs of Isildur is our steampunk time travel series. Even though it's steampunk, it's a lot more sci-fi fantasy, similar to if you had Back to the Future or Bill and Ted's, but kind of set in a darker steampunk environment. So there's a little more of that. It's not something that's like if you were going to watch a Victorian show thinking that kind of steampunk. It's got a little more fun to it and a little more openness in that respect. Tales from Nocturnia, as Jim so greatly showed earlier with our trade paperback, that was our medieval fantasy series. Think World of Warcraft, Dungeons and Dragons, and that was one we just did the trade paperback on that just recently. So this album has got 5 songs from Heirs, because Heirs is where our normal metal music comes from. When we were doing all of our Kickstarters for Tales from Nocturnia, we had original music for each one of those, and so we had this pile of Tales from Nocturnia songs. Steph and I were like, what are we going to do with 5 and 5? We said, why don't we make a mashup album where you've got these 2 songs, these 5 sets of songs, and we'll do like a Marvel versus Capcom cover. And that's what you see. On the left-hand side, you have Heirs characters. On the right-hand side, you see Tales from Nocturnia characters. And it's just an homage cover that we did for that. Now, people have asked us, and I'll let Steph tell you about the comic. People have asked us, so is the comic a mashup of Heirs and Tales from Nocturnia? No. The comic is... I just told us that I'd let Steph say. So, Steph, I'll let you talk about what Heirs of Isildur Nightmare Scenario, the comic is, and we can kind of look down the campaign as we're going as well, if you'd like to.
Okay, so Tales from Nocturnia, the Crossroads Conundrum was the very first story arc that we had, and it was 11 issues that we turned into a trade paperback. And there are plans to do a second story arc, which is going to be called Perilous Prospects. When the Crossroads Conundrum ended, the fate of main character Michael Isildur was left unknown. We had readers and fans and backers say, okay, you guys got to let us know what happened to him. Is he alive? Is he dead? It was very ambiguous on purpose because we knew that we were going to eventually answer it. And we wanted people to come back and want to keep reading. What the Nightmare Scenario is, the comic that goes along with this campaign, is it's a one-shot, a bridge issue, whatever you want to consider it, that explains exactly what happened to him. And that way we can jump right into and get down to the nitty gritty when we get into Perilous Prospects. We don't have to do a big expositional dump at the beginning of a comic. And so we thought it would pair really well with the album because it's a quick one-shot story within the universe and kind of a link between the 2 story arcs. And it also is going to include lyrics from the songs and song explanations in this issue as well.
So as you see, there you go. So there's some of the covers. We do have our leather workers, Harrison and Martin over GB Leatherworks, that are doing some leather turntable covers for us. One for Heirs of Isildur, one for Tales from Nocturnia. There's some glow-in-the-dark elements on there that are only going to be available during the campaign. There's a very involved process for him to actually get parts of the leather to glow in the dark with this paint. It wasn't just, let me go get glow-in-the-dark paint from the craft store,
from Michael's.
because the leather or whatever, it was doing something to that glow in the dark paint, like sucking it into the leather. So we had to get this powdery stuff, Breaking Bad, not that kind of powder, but some powdery stuff. And so he's only going to do the glow in the dark on these turntable covers during this campaign.
You just got another backer, by the way.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Oh, shoot.
So, by the way, just so you guys know, if we get like 3 more backers, that'd be 5 during this, or 3 more people that would increase their pledge, I'm going to sing a song to Chuck about being my lost love during this. I'll just make it up on the fly. We'll just have fun with it, and we'll see what happens. And if we get more than that, maybe I'll have to come up with some other nonsense song I'll have to come up with on the fly. I don't give a crap. So if we go down the campaign just a little bit more, we've reached a bunch of stretch goals. We've added some extra pages to there's the ever-growing top hat. We've added a bunch of trading cards. We did a crossover with the Surgeon where there's a trading card and a print that's actually going to come from the Surgeon, where one of our characters, Merc, and one of their characters, Smithy, are going to be on a rare trading card. Just today, we opened up the sticker set. There's 4 stickers that are in there as well. And Eric, if you scroll down a little bit, we'll talk. So we're not spending all of our time talking about this. If you scroll down to the covers, there's a special section after that is really important to us. So you have this talking about the album, which we just talked about. There's actually the stream video, one of the first songs off the album. You can hear right there. We have an amazing violin player, Andrew Polo. And I'm not talking about myself saying amazing. I'm talking about him. He is a wicked violin player. He kills it. And he really has helped make that song be really awesome. All right, so let's keep on going down here just a little bit.
Wait. I just want to point out you are at $10,069.
Oh, what?
I added $9 to my pledge so we can get this.
Yes, I was hoping that was going to be the answer.
I love it.
I love being on shows with Jim.
So there's what the vinyl looks like. We have the 2 different versions. We have the Portal version, which is blue, red, and black. And then underneath that, we're going to have the Dragon's Lair version, which is, or I guess above that that is orange and green. Now, for this campaign, we had to actually put 2 different deliverable dates out there. We have a comic deliverable date, and even the MP3s and the CD version of it, and then we have a vinyl delivery date, because the vinyl market everybody knows collectors markets right now are going out of control. And vinyl is no different. There are so many people out there like, hey, I've got all 6 versions of that vinyl variant. It's just like variant covers for us in the comic world, that the pressing plants are backed up immensely. So when the campaign is done and we actually order the albums, it's going to be 3 to 4 months before we get the vinyl back. We're not going to make our comic people have to wait to get comics because somebody else has got a vinyl that they're not even getting. So we have a time in the late summer set for the comics and a lot of the support merch, and then later on in the fall for the vinyl. So just know that we're not going to be making one wait for the other. So if you scroll down just a little bit, there's a section here called Tribute that we want to make sure we always are making sure that people know is in our campaign. Pops had mentioned it earlier about getting the Corey Steger cover. Just before the campaign started, my buddy Corey Steger, he was an original member of the band Under Oath. He's been a part of a major part of the Airs music. He was here, recorded on March 6th. We had a great session. He brought his best friend Rick down, and Steph was actually on video chat. The 4 of us all worked together when he was here. He came down and recorded some great tracks for us. He actually was tragically killed 11 days after he was involved with his tracks for the album. So here's a guy that when he passed away, every music site known to man picked it up, because Under Oath has got literally, if you go look at their Facebook page, has got millions of followers. And he was an original founding member. So every site picked it up. Hey, founding member of Under Oath dies. And so we knew right there, we're like, oh my gosh, we are in possession of the very last thing this guy ever recorded on. We know the last thing that he recorded, the last word he recorded, the last section he recorded, he actually got his buddy, Rick to actually record on there. Nobody knew it was going to be the last section. Steph actually got in behind the mic and she recorded a little bit there as well. So we have the 4 of us in this symbiotic little spot that we all know is the last words that ever came out of Corey's mouth, the last performance he ever did that's on this album. So we got James Sims. We had to remove a lot of our cover options for this comic because, as we've said about Michael Isildur, is he alive, is he perished, or is he somewhere in between? There's a lot of graveyard imagery that we wanted to put on the covers. Brian Manlow, we're going to get to your questions, even if you have to listen to it on the replay. We will get to your questions, man. Definitely don't want you to think we don't see. We're going to definitely answer your questions. So we removed those covers, and we got with James Sims, and we did a tribute cover to Corey. And we took the Game of Thrones throne, and Corey's well known for over the course of his career having a zillion guitars. We found every live stream, every picture we could find of every guitar that we could get our hands on. And we did an homage cover to the Game of Thrones throne, all made of Corey's guitars. So if you scroll down just a little bit there, you're going to see that is Corey sitting on the Game of Thrones throne made of his actual guitars.
That's badass.
So that's a variant cover that is on the campaign right now. If you back with that cover on the campaign, we are donating a portion of the proceeds from that cover back to his small children. It's not as much about the money; it's about us having that thing, being able to say, when they're older, when my father passed away, here are all these people that we didn't even know that contributed something to that we had this memorial here. We are also going to get a card. And Steph and I are going to handwrite the names of every person that actually purchased one of those to give to them as well, so they can say, holy crap, here are these people. Here's the names of the people that actually bought my dad's cover from this campaign. So it really made Steph and I have to rethink some of the aspects of this cover. What are we doing with this campaign? What are we doing it for? What's the point? Yes, we have our business, and we have our albums, we have the music, and we have the comics, but we really knew that we were put in a position to honor this guy that meant so much to myself and to the project, that we were put in a position to show people he was more than just under oath. He removed himself from the public eye for about the last 10 years. He just like, hey, I don't want to be on social media. I'm just out of harm's way. And so people didn't really know what was going on with him. He was a surfer. He was a skater. He was a family man. And we get to tell the last portion of his story. And that was a big responsibility that we are more than happy to tell. But like I said, we wanted to make sure we showed this with only 69 hours left in the campaign, that this is a huge part of the campaign to us. With that being said, sorry for being a downer, because that's a really tough thing. But Corey knew what the issue was about. Corey was a big supporter of the project. If you look at some of the pictures that are on the, if you can scroll back up to the little tribute picture that's there. About half of those pictures, the main picture of him and I in the middle, the picture, and then the two pictures to the right, those pictures were all taken 11 days before he perished. And he's actually sitting there with his buddy Rick holding up some Tales from Nocturnia books, because he was super proud to be able to see where this whole project had gone and where everything that we had done, because he was in those original talks back in the day when I was just starting to write Heirs of Isildur and we were starting to write the music. He was actually involved in those talks. So for him to see where those little seeds had gone and become this thing that is now Steph and my company and in Symmetry Creations, he was really proud of that. So yeah, those are some of those pictures from 11 days ago, or 11 days before he ended up dying. Anyways, with that being said, to bring it back up, it looks like we've had another person that has added to their campaign. So at least we've got 3 now. So actually we've got 4 people. So if one more person adds to their pledge, or they pledge to the campaign, I'm going to freestyle a "You've Broken My Heart" song to Chuck while we're on this live stream. So I feel like, and Steph, you correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like I've taken up enough of these guys' times that are on this side on our behalf. Should we get back to the questions?
Yeah, there's been a lot of questions that have scrolled up, and I know Brian had a question and had to run. So I want to make sure, even if we answer part of it, that he gets to hear some of that, because he's been patient and waiting.
So the question is, what about advice on promoting beyond our community? Can that be a game changer for the campaign? I will say for Belial, when I was vetting groups, it wasn't just comic book groups. I went to horror groups. I went to comedy groups. I went to occult-themed groups. I went to any kind of group that kind of fell in line with the theme or story that we're telling. So anybody that would share an interest in any aspect of Belial, I for sure added them. And so I was able to gain actually quite a few people that may not have been into comic books before, but having something that was in their wheelhouse, they were inspired to kind of to pitch in and at least check us out, because it definitely intrigued them. So yeah, I would definitely encourage anybody that if you're doing a sci-fi book, go to those sci-fi pages, go to the conspiracy theory pages, go, if you're doing Heirs of Isildur, I would go to like those metal pages, go to the Renaissance-y looking pages, go to steampunk pages, go to all of that stuff. Anything that speaks to your property and who you are, because part of that is what you brought to the table, and all of that carries your sauce.
Well, Chuck talked earlier. Chuck talked about creating your show if you need a show, and I think that goes along with that too. Like, I started working with a couple friends doing Strange Tales Weekly, talking about conspiracy and alien things. Right around the same time, I started working on Dulce, and definitely had some tie-in with that. And even with Blister, like, I've promoted to like the punk rock community, or it's very 90s heavy. So like, just, middle-aged people, like, is that middle-aged? Whatever. So I think that there's a good point there to reach out beyond the comics community.
What did you have to say, Chuck? I saw you had your finger up.
So during the 2019 Belial campaign, at that time I was doing several conventions. I was in Houston, then I went and saw you guys for the first time at MegaCon in Orlando, and I was like, how am I going to go to these shows and also help push the campaign? Because it was unfair for Shaun to have to do it all. So what I did was I went to my local print shop. I printed off the 5-page sample that we had of the book. I then bound it and put it in a nice little binding with a thing. And then I put it out there and showed it off and basically put a little note on there that said, if you show me that you have backed this campaign, I'll give you a free print. And I had a bunch of like Welcome to the Void prints and a bunch of other stuff. And I would just give them free stuff because they had proven that. And that was very helpful. Like, well, why not? You're at a convention. You can do both.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, we just had a situation too, which I'll make it very short since I just talked for a long time, that really plays into what you just said, Shaun. One of the things we didn't cover on our campaign is we have some Garbage Pail Kid homages. I'm a huge Garbage Pail Kids fan. We did 3 covers, 2 in the last campaign, 1 in this campaign, that are Atom Bomb homages. And so if you're an Atom Bomb fan, if you're a Garbage Pail Kids fan, where are you going to go? You're going to go to Garbage Pail Kids forums. You're going to make sure that people, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. So you're going to make sure that those people. So I can't name a name because of backer confidentiality and of privacy. But we had a guy last week that messaged us under a clearly fake Facebook profile and said, hey, am I still able to get those Garbage Pail Kids you did on the last campaign? Sure, no problem. So that person backed us, and I looked at the name and I was startled. I was like, are you actually this person, or are you just a fan? And they wrote back and they said, I'm actually that person. I've collected Garbage Pail Kids my whole life, and whenever I find an Atom Bomb, I have to go get it. All I can say is, when you have a literal A-list celebrity back your campaign, and Steph and I legit fangirled, we're like, holy freaking crap. An A-list celebrity from Hollywood just backed our campaign because we did a Garbage Pail Kid cover, because we put it in a Garbage Pail Kid forum where he frequented, because we went and found where he was at. That is probably one of the most cool memories I have ever had in doing this, because you're just like, holy crap, we would have never had connection to that person in any way before, and then this happened.
Yeah. So you can't say the name, but can you name one of the movies that they're in?
So let me say this. How about this? I will say this. I can't say one of the movies that they're in, but I can say that they are on the other side of it and are a writer and director that puts stuff out there. Okay.
Nice.
That's what I can say. They're on the other side of it, and it's somebody that I actually enjoy their creations. So to see that, I was like, get the freak out of town. This is nuts. Now everybody's
holy crap.
I'm trying to think of who it is.
Right? Last
obviously
question.
Steven Spielberg.
And this is a regular Brian Manel style question. He loves the length. Good for you, buddy.
That's what she said.
Oh, she said.
Last question. For advertising a comic, I keep hearing people advertise it as the comic is like X and or versus X to help sell the concept. Is that something that really works as a quick pitch? And if so, what if you're having trouble finding a pitch similar to that? Are there quick pitch methods that work? I don't know about you guys. I've seen that happen a lot. If that's your main pitch, then I kind of go like, I know that you said that like Terry did it really well, and sometimes people will do it really well. But if that's your only pitch, pick up another pitch.
You know,
Like
a few years ago, somebody pitched something as Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets something else, and it reminded me that the Buffy the Vampire Slayer Dark Horse series existed, and I went and bought a trade paperback.
I think if you're going to do that, you want to make sure it's two IPs that just have nothing to do with each other, like Milo and Otis and The Exorcist. You don't want to be like where Batman meets the Joker.
Yeah, it's like Army of Darkness and Evil Dead. Like, what?
If you're going to do that too, have something that shows you can back up that statement. Some sort of artwork or some sort of even like a clip of speech or something that would be reminiscent of something from there. Draw that parallel in whatever you're doing as part of that marketing. If you can,
I can't show scenes from pornos.
Unless you're Jim Noble.
No, it's a pizza delivery guy.
I actually like when people say, "Hey, for fans of," we've done that before, but we tend to name more than one thing. But that helps me if I'm trying to figure out what your story is about. And Matt and I were just talking about this the other day because I was looking at a campaign, and they had they had a section on their Kickstarter that said what it's like, and they broke it down from books, comics, and movies, and they listed maybe like 3 from each category. And I personally really like that. I thought that was really cool because it really, really gives me an idea of the feel and the tone of the story. The only thing that I will say about that is if you're gonna do that, it really has to be similar to those. Don't be like, hey, it has kids in it, so it's like Goonies. You know, it has to be more than that. You can't just say that, you know, otherwise people aren't going to believe you anymore.
It's funny. I don't like those the X meets X and all that kind of stuff. But I thought of one while I was sitting here, and I thought Belial could be good as. Hey, Shaun, how do you feel about Belial? Is Dante's Inferno meets Adult Swim?
Yeah, probably. Huh?
Right?
Yeah.
Like.
See, I like that though.
Well, because again, you got me with the whole they got to be totally different and really weird, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that works then. Those are 2 things that probably shouldn't go together.
Yeah.
So guess what, guys? We just had the 5th person that either backed the campaign or increased their pledge. Are you guys ready?
Always.
Yeah, let me get myself in the mood here. Let me think here.
Give him the big screen, Chuck.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, guys, why don't we? I thought you guys would love that. All right, let's bring him back in. Oh, shit. Now I can't do it. Where is he? Look, he's getting all angry.
Never in the spotlight.
I thought he really kicked me. I thought I was like, damn.
All right, let's do this.
Let me see if I can. Let me see. Do I want to have a real pitch? But how can I sing to Chuck if Chuck's not on the screen? Just
crap.
make me big and put you on the side, man.
I think you can only put you big and all of us on the side.
Oh yeah. Hey.
Oh, no, that's not it.
Sing for us, Chuck.
Wait, there's a.
Hey, you know what? I'll sing from down here so we can get your reaction. I don't care. Whatever we got to do. Oh, Chucky, how was I supposed to know that I was not your man? Oh, Chucky, we wore those same basketball shorts. I thought I had your heart, but now you had went and cheated on me with Jim Noble. Wearing those banana hammocks, you got those raisin sacks, all that matching attire. And now Steph's really turned on. She's even dancing over there in the middle square.
Yay!
Jim's like, I gotta go get my matching raisin sack and banana hammock that I have with Chuck. I gotta go find it.
Dustin's out. Good night, buddy. Good seeing you.
Hey, so Alfie said to send some links. So let me make sure that Alfie's got the link here. So everybody else put your links in there too, because I know he wants more than just ours.
I bumped up my pledge to grab some vinyl.
Oh, yay!
hell
Yeah, he's a
man.
big vinyl guy.
He's a big vinyl guy, yeah.
Steph, you want to tell them how we started doing vinyl? Because you're the one that made that happen.
Well, it's kind of weird. It's funny because, believe it or not, metal fans love their vinyl. Vinyl's really big in the metal world. And we were seeing that a lot in some of the metal boards that we frequent, where they'll do like 10 variants and it's all splatter and crazy. It's just how it is. I'm a collector of vinyl. I have like a very specific, I love collecting movie soundtracks on vinyl, especially from Mondo. That's like a big thing for me.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
I just got the Cobra Kai one the other day. I was literally like sitting there.
I did not, but that was cool.
yeah, because it's like a cassette tape and everything. So,
Yep.
but I told Matt, I said, if we're gonna do an album, we really need to offer vinyl. I really feel like if we're gonna, take our campaign to the next level and step it up, we got to offer vinyl. We're doing metal. It just makes sense. And after he started researching it a little bit more, because, we got to make sure that it's actually affordable to do that. Yeah. But after he started researching it a little bit more, we found out that vinyl is selling higher than CDs, anything else right now.
Oh yeah.
As far as music is concerned. So it became a no-brainer for us after that. And it's actually surpassed what we even expected, that people are loving it.
It's very similar. It's a very similar market to doing trade paperbacks, where there's places that actually specialize in short runs. Although it's a very manual process, all those records are actually made by hand, and all the colors in there are actually handmade, to get all the color in there. Then they go and put it on the press. So if the 6 of us on this feed all got the same record, we're all going to get something that's a little bit different. It's not like doing a silk screen on a shirt.
Whoa!
I might have to hit you guys up to get a name for this company that you use.
We'll definitely let you know as soon as we get them back if they're good. But I'll tell you right now, we actually talked with one of the record labels that we respect the most, the Artisan Era, and they gave us they said, this is who we use.
Yeah.
And if that's who they're using and they're the ones at the top of the list as far as we're concerned, hopefully we can live up to the Artisan Era as far as putting out cool stuff as far as that goes.
Awesome.
Totally Rad, the album featuring such tracks as "Oh Yeah" and
erotic SMR.
I feel like the Totally Rad album would probably be very similar to one of the Guardians of the Galaxy's albums.
Those are great. I love those soundtracks.
It would just be like audio of me rambling, and then when they would flip to side B, I'd be like, "Oh my God, you actually listening to this thing? Well, welcome to side B, and we're gonna tell you all about the Up Glove."
You know what? Actually, I think that the one song that would, because it's 1980s, and because of the dark history behind it, and I might have to explain it because you guys might not know, is actually Guns N' Roses' "Rocket Queen."
Oh, I know that. Yeah, I know that story.
Do you know that? You know the story about that one?
Yeah. Come on, man. I literally make comic books about the 80s.
Well, yeah, but you weren't alive in the 80s, so I wasn't sure.
Well,
Hey, Chuck, I'm going to help you out really quick here. If you guys have posted a question in the chat and we haven't answered it, instead of us having to go up and scroll and find it, just go ahead and post it again at the bottom so that way they're back there again.
I think I found most of them, but yeah, please do.
So I have a question for Eric and Chuck. So, and again, I know you probably answered other podcasts, but you've got, between the two of you guys, there are 3 different forms of media that you've done. You've got comics, you've got audio, and you've got a prose novel. What has been the biggest challenge for you having to bounce back and forth between these 3 very different forms of presentation?
We were just talking this afternoon while I was driving, and I was talking about how Essence House takes up a ton of time. So right now, for me, a challenge is doing the other things that I want to get done around producing a bi-weekly, or is it bi-monthly? I get confused on those 2 words. Anyways, podcast. And then also we do the live streams every other week, like an after show to talk about the previous episode. And there's just a lot of little things that go along with Essence House. And yeah, it's just, so time is like a big problem, I think.
Time, and then also, luckily at this point, it kind of does have a fan base. What's weird is that, like, in comics, you tend to kind of sort of know your fan base a little bit more. But in audio dramas, like we have, I think we're speeding towards like 5,500 downloads or something like that.
Holy fuck!
And and we have no idea who those people are.
Even on our Kickstarter, we scrolled through because we were doing a checklist to see who gets the Belial combo print. And as we're going through, I was asking, like, is that one of your people? No, not one of my people. Scroll down, is that one of your people? No, not one of my people. And we're like, who are these people? It's kind of amazing. Like,
such a great feeling.
Yeah, because I do tend to know most of the people that have backed when it comes to my comics and stuff. They interact a lot more on Facebook and things. So that's been pretty amazing.
Do you feel like you guys have been able to properly monetize doing the audiobooks, or is that something where there's the ancillary merch from that is where you're like the book and all that's where you're able to monetize it?
I think that's the hope. Like at some point, I think like our Kickstarter did pretty well. But there's still there's still a lot of money went into producing, like with the voiceover and all that.
Oh, I know that stuff's not cheap at all. We've talked about doing, and even before you guys even knew that, we had talked about doing some form of an audio version of Airs because it could easily do that. And we've actually watched what you guys do to see if it's something that's viable. There's a lot of things that we want to do, but we have to look at the people that are doing it good. And the way you guys put out the Essence House drama, you're like every week or every so often you're putting that out. I really, really, really dig that. And that would work really well for Airs. And so we watched that. We're like, hey, if we ever did that, how could we emulate without plagiarizing what you guys do to do it for our stuff? Now, it's probably not anything that would happen in the next 5 years because we have so many other things going on. But so just know we've actually looked at it to see if there was something that we could do to utilize the blueprint that you guys have put out there.
Yeah. I mean, honestly. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, honestly, but there's other people who are doing it now too.
Yeah.
Boston Metaphysical Society is doing it now. Russ Nolte is doing it now. I got to look at his, and his was really neat. I believe it's The Void Calls Me Home was the one that he did, and he might be doing more of those. So other people are doing them too, and we don't have the fucking stamp on audio dramas, so you want to do it, go do it. Like, it's not an issue. But whereas he did say it's expensive, I mean, all of this is expensive, but let's be perfectly honest. The amount of money that we've spent on, the first 2 fucking seasons with, getting it out there and the books and all that, and paying for the voice actor and all that is probably right around what you would spend on one comic. So you might say, oh, yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, but in regards, like when you compare it to a comic, it's cheap as fuck. Like,
that's one amazing thing about it.
Yeah.
When you compare it to making comics when it comes to like writing and stuff, is that we started this January 1st of last year. We are just hitting the middle of this year, and we've got 25 episodes have gone out. Like, could you imagine putting out 25 comics in a year? Like, to have that much story out in 1 year.
Seriously impressive. Amazing. Very, very impressive, guys.
If we count variants.
Yeah.
I've done over 500 variants in 2 years.
But yeah, man, it just it is in that regards a lot cheaper. And yeah, man, I mean, also just the sheer amount of story you're able to deal with, through the whole novel. And now we're already 2 chapters and almost 3 chapters into the next novel. Yeah, it's just going really quick, and it's been a ride because it's going so much faster than any other project either of us have ever done before.
You should hear our conversations. Like, we'll casually bring up season 10 like it's nothing.
But the thing, and it sounds like a joke, right? You're like, season 10, yeah, whatever. Yeah, except for we're currently on season 3, and each of them is basically 2 seasons makes a book. So it means we're already going to be on season 4, and we're already thinking ahead to what the 3rd book would be. That's season 5 and 6. You're already on the trajectory towards 10 seasons. And so it started as a joke, but you're like, oh shit, that's actually possible. Like, we're talking 2024. You could be talking about season 10, and it's serious. So yeah, man, as much as mentioning it infuriated me, and I was just like, no, there's no way. But then you stop and you look and you go, we've already planned for 6 seasons. There's a good chance that season 10 could be something.
You know, it's always the thing that you don't expect to be the success that actually gets hit. I mean, it's evident pretty much everywhere. I mean, even just recently, if you could think, what is that, Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah.
The guy made the first game as kind of a joke because he was making kids games, and people made the comment to him that his characters in that game looked like creepy animatronics. So to get everybody off of his back, he made Five Nights at Freddy's. And that's the thing that scored the points for him. And now they're making a damn movie about it.
Yeah.
So you never know. So you got to take that shot. And then if you find something that hits, run with it while you can.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Netflix right now.
Right? Yeah, that's
Aren't we all?
10 seasons of a movie.
So Toby came in and said, I'm thinking about writing and illustrating a kid's book. I have the storyline and the way I want the illustration to be, but I don't know where to start. Also, hi. Hey.
Okay. Don't start. Big tip, no nudity. No boobs, nothing. No one takes off their clothes. Just make sure, as long as nobody gets naked, you're off to a great start.
Normally I would say children's book, don't take Jim's advice, but take this advice.
Yeah, that was pretty solid.
Yeah, that was good. Sorry, Sean, were you talking?
He was saying what to do for his thing, and I said the first step would be to make an outline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if something as simple or as complex as telling some sort of a story, an outline is where you start. And if that outline can resonate with somebody that you trust, then you have something to go there. If not, go back, rework it, so you don't end up wasting all of your time constructing a full idea that just isn't gonna be something you can work with ultimately.
Also, you know what? Something that I felt worked for me, and actually more importantly for my wife, was put some skin in the game. So, not that much skin, buddy. No, when I say put some skin in the game, what I mean is like hiring an editor. A lot of Mike. Actually, here he is, Mike Bankston. He barely had an idea, and he's like, I want to do something. I want to make this happen. And he said, I want you to be my editor. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, start working, and I'll do that. And sure enough, he did it. Paid me, and we're making it happen. And he put the skin in the game. He put money in there, and he made it happen. What I did for Wendy was Wendy had written the script, and she was having problems with her artist, and she was having issues, and she didn't know what to do. And I went out and I purchased a variant cover for her, and I made it a present. And so when she opened it up, she had art, and having that art in front of her, done and there and ready to go, I think, and she said it before, it sold her. She was like, whoa, this is a real thing. Like I had the trade dress on there. I had our logo, Bonfire Press, like everything was on there. And it was like, oh, damn, this is a thing. So, and Toby says she have an editor, and I'll be the artist. There you go.
You've already got to start.
Yeah,
Know
just
the
start doing
difference
it.
in your editors too. Know the difference. There are different types of editors, so don't go hiring the first editor you find. You might find somebody that fits multiple wheelhouses, like our boy Chuck over here, but not everybody is that way. You've got people that call themselves an editor that are proofreaders, or you've got people that want to be what is that? Like the soundboard type of editor, the idea
Developmental, yeah.
Yeah. So know the difference in your editors. Don't go out. It's something, there are different types. So research what you're looking for. Just like you'll do an artist, just like you'll do a writer or anything else, an editor is just as important. You can get a bad edit, and you can have a really good idea that gets edited down to a pile of trash.
Well, I think another thing too, and Chuck really comment on this because Chuck has worked on a children's. Steph and I are working on a G-rated story as well. That if you're writing a kid's story, you have to make sure you are actually reading it with a level of interest and a point that is a child is going to actually be able to understand. You don't want to write an adult book that looks like a kid's book. You want to make sure that there is something that is going to be digestible to someone that is of younger age, so that way they can feel like they get the point. If it's just something that's written highbrow for the adults, the kids are going to just be like, I don't want that anymore, Dad. I don't want to buy that book anymore. It's got to be something to be digestible by kids as well. And also, hey, Toby TZ, totally down with that profile picture. I see the steampunk going on in there. I'm glad you're on this chat. You'd love our stuff, man. Love the profile pic.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, man. Get beta readers. Show the pictures off to kids that you know. Do you like this? How see how they responded? All that kind of. Look at you. No, you're not. You're not about beta readers.
No, don't send those. Well, I was thinking my books. Don't send those to
the
kids. Beta readers.
Look at that. Look at what Toby CD. Mine already has two books published. I also have my grandma, who is an English teacher, and I have a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old stepkids, and they're going to be my honest reviews. That's actually not bad. That's actually not bad.
Kids will be honest.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it happening now. And so when we were in Florida, when Matt and I were in Florida, I had these 2 young girls. They were probably in their mid to late teens, and they came up and they said, and they were like, oh, we really want to make a comic too. And I was like, well, let me look at your art. That's neat. And so I'm looking, and they had great art. And they said, so how do we do what you did? And I was like, do you want to know? There's one secret. There's one big secret. It's simple. And they're like, really? And they kind of like, move in. Okay, what is it? And I was like, fucking finish it. That's the secret. That's all that matters. Fucking. And they're like, what? And I'm like, fucking finish it. Just get it done. Get it out there. It's okay if it sucks. Because chances are if it sucks, no one's going to see it. You can retool it. You can do whatever. But finishing something and get it done and not like fucking going over it and over it. Yeah, I miss cons too, hon. I really do. And I'm going to be at several. I'm going to be in Houston soon. I hope to see you there. Yeah, man, just fucking finish it, guys. It's so huge.
And that being said, going back to the kids' book that looks like an adult book, I'm kind of surprised that Jim hasn't done something like that because some of them do sell.
I did a all ages story, but it's probably more PG-13 than anything. But there's no nudity.
That's a massive step.
I love the fact that Jim's like, my first tagline for a book is "There's no nudity" because people are like, "What, really?"
Yeah. People are legal? So surprised. But we did do a nude. Bill McKay did a nude variant for it, so it's like he did nude. Like he's the only guy who did a nude cover, and I'm like, look, I can't say no to Bill McKay.
You can have a totally censored kids book.
Oh well, that'd be like 3 pages. It'd be like, wait a minute. So she goes inside the building, and then now she's at the movie theater, and then now she has a bag over her head. What happened?
Different types of. One page will be pixelated. The other one will have the adult parental advisory. The other one will have a bar.
You would save a lot on printing if that was all you had.
Where'd the pizza guy go?
I could throw in like the little pop-up thing is like, are you over 18? Click here. On every panel.
Sorry, all I heard was Jim Noble's books and pop-up, and I was like, no. Like, something in my eye.
The problem is of trying to get a adult pop-up book made is that most of the companies making pop-up books are making children's pop-up books, so they don't want to cross over into the adult market. So unfortunately, there won't be
cross-pollinate.
Yeah.
Cross the screens.
I can only imagine what the very first page turn would be in a Jim Noble pop-up book. I already know. It's in your face.
The first page says, "This is a splash zone." You're like, what?
Every book comes with a poncho.
It comes with like one of those
poncho, just like a little hoodie.
Those cloths that you wipe your glasses with.
So, hey, we've been on for about 2 hours. Well, I'll keep talking. I don't care. Let's try to make sure we wind back to some of the stuff that we originally wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Is there something that you would impart out there to the people that are listening? A trick or a tip that you have that has really helped you out, that you really think has helped you to be able to promote in a way that may not seem obvious? And we'll start with whoever wants to start, and that person will be Chuck.
Oh, wow. Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, so you know what? Here's my thing. Because, hot sauce is a good one, but I won't actually use that one. So I'm ideally and mostly an editor. And I noticed right away, no one talks about editors. So I started making editors a really big point of my pitch, talking about editing, talking about how it's important, all that kind of stuff, and trying to push other editors and talk more about other editors. And I found that the more I was able to push that, and the other thing that I did that separated me from a lot of editors is whenever I went on a campaign, I would tell them, hey, when you get me on your campaign, I will also help push it. And they were like, what? And that was massive. It was a massive sales pitch. And it helped me so much. And so I would actually go on and I got a lot of jobs just because I was willing to push it. And that's something that you almost can't pay for now and then, or nowadays. So if you're willing to actually push, even if you're just like someone's artist, or you're an inker or editor or letter or whatever, push those books, throw them out there, show them off. That's huge. People will be so excited. And then when it's time for you to do your thing, those people will not forget you. They, some of them obviously will, but a lot of them will just be like, oh, no, this dude had my back, and they'll come back. You're not doing it for that, but it helps. I'll be right back, guys. Keep doing your thing.
All right. So we'll move over there to Eric. What is something that you have?
I think in general, just being genuine. Like I come at my writing very genuine, like especially when it comes to like dialogue and stuff. Like I want the characters to feel like real people, talk like real people, and have relationships that are relatable. And I think just also posting things online, like especially when I deal with the punk rock stuff, like I don't want to be like a poser, like I want to. It's a thing. So, but just keeping everything just really genuine and just appeal to people. I mean, tell your story. Like that's always been kind of a big thing for me.
All right, Jim, we're going to go to you next. But Toby TZ just said, are there any communities on Facebook I should join? Going to pimp and shill the one that is obvious on here, which is Indie Comic Conspiracy, that Shaun is one of the moderators on. And here's why. This is not just a BS thing. What was about a year and a half ago, they said, we're going to stop all the nonsense on this board. We want it to be different. And up in the header, they have hashtags for every day of the week. On Monday, it's AMAs. On Tuesdays, it's this. It's just the tip Tuesday. On Wednesdays, it's work in progress. I can list them off right off the top of my head, and they give you a writing prompt for every day, and it has made that board operate way differently than a lot of the other boards out there. And it actually makes you know that the people that are posting are actually thinking about what they're posting. So Indie Comic Conspiracy is the first one that comes off the top of my head that you would want to go take a look at.
To go along with those hashtags, the one reason that was really important for us to be able to incorporate that is it becomes searchable within the group. If you're a member of the group and you're on the group page and you want to say, look for tips and tricks for making your books, look up hashtag just the tip Tuesday. And anybody that's posted anything for that tip sharing day, that will pop up in line, and you can go down and find things that pertain to you. If you want to see the processes people go through or hear their stories that their successes, those work in progress Wednesdays, search those. They're there. They're a tool for people to use. It's not just an empty platform.
Jim, what you got on this topic here? The tip or trick that you like to use to that has been successful for you outside of boobs. Can't be boobs. Outside of boobs.
Do your taxes.
Yes.
I can't stress this enough. Here's the issue, right? A lot of these guys are going into Kickstarters and they're not thinking of the aftermath of the Kickstarter. Yes, you got funded. Yes, you got all these wonderful backers and you get to make this wonderful product. However, taxes are a thing. If you're a U.S. Kickstarter creator, at the end of the year, when tax season comes, and they're knocking like, hey, like, how much money did you make on Kickstarter? How much money was that spent on, you got to keep track of everything, receipts, how much you were spending on shipping, how much you were spending on printing, how much was taken away from what were the Kickstarter fees. A lot of people don't realize this. And I don't think that's, I don't think I've ever seen anyone ever say, hey, taxes are a thing. I don't think no one doing Kickstarters have ever said, by the way, don't forget to do your taxes, because everyone just thinks, oh, well, Kickstarter, it's just free money. It goes into my pocket. Not necessarily.
Nope.
So that's probably the biggest thing, because like you got to think too, like if you do really well, and then at the end of the year when tax season comes, it's like, yeah, I've done 2-3 issues, and now I can't do any future issues because now I have to pay money to the government because I owe money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And on
people
that, and on that note, do not hesitate to form an LLC for what you do. Steph and I have Symmetry
Yep.
Creations LLC. The first 3 Kickstarters we ran were on my personal Kickstarter. So the taxes became very nebulous as to how we were going to actually claim those things when we created the Symmetry Creations LLC, the LLC, and then also made an LLC on Kickstarter for that and attached it to the InSim bank account. We were ensuring that all that was funneling down to our bank account instead of there being some weird, well, it went to my bank account or it went to the InSim bank account, but it's actually in my name. So how are we going to handle this and split this up? It makes it a lot easier if you just make everything through that business account and go from there.
Yep.
Steph, do you have a tip and trick you want to impart upon the fine people?
As far as marketing is concerned,
as far as when you're on Kickstarter and you're marketing, something that you feel like has been successful for us when we have been out there doing our stuff.
I feel like I touched on a lot of this earlier, talking about being enthusiastic and exciting. So I've been racking my brain trying to think of something different and specific that I could say. Instead, I'm going to touch on something that got brought up earlier that I didn't get a chance to say, and that is, I think what it was what was one of your biggest struggles or obstacles. For me, and this is one of my mantras, but I struggle with this specifically when it comes to promoting Kickstarters. But one of my mantras is be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I'm a runner. I'm a long distance runner. Need I say more? You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the only way you're going to get through a race or anything like that. There are some really uncomfortable parts of promoting that are not inherent to my personality. I don't like hitting people up and saying, hey, go check out my Kickstarter, because it's a very difficult thing to do and pull off without sounding like you're begging for money. And there's a way to go about it, and depending on who the person is, some people you can be like, dude, when are you going to back my shit? You might have that relationship with them, but there's other people that it's just a very uncomfortable thing. And that is one thing that I've had to, Matt, it comes naturally to him. Anybody watching the show can see that it comes very naturally that he can just, he could sell anything to anybody.
Doesn't mean I like it, but yeah.
Sell me
but it comes, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you're feeling inside. It's how you're showing outwardly. And that's what people are going to pick up on. I don't think that I will ever be comfortable with it. So, a tip or trick, I guess I can say, to kind of wrap 2 things that I wanted to say into one. A tip or trick that I would say is find a way that works for you instead of trying to force something. Then you're going to come off as disingenuous potentially, and nobody wants that. So, what works for one personality might not work for another. Find what works for yours and how you can appeal to somebody's, sensibilities that you want to have support you or back your project. And again, if you believe in your project, they're going to believe in your project.
That's right. Shaun, what you got on topic?
Do your homework. Curate your people. Make sure that you have cheerleaders on your team. And if that's not you, don't be afraid to reach out and get somebody involved. That is a strength where you lack. It really helped out with Belial. I did a lot of the prep work as far as making like the memes and stuff, the back end promotion type stuff for Belial. I kept the Facebook page and stuff like that. Chuck was the face during all of the podcasts and different stuff like that. He also got me involved in podcasts. He was a strength where I was weak and vice versa. So find your person that is able to help you connect with a multitude of people. Don't just stop in your comfort zone, and don't rob yourself of that opportunity.
Shaun, that's a brilliant piece of advice. And the reason why I would say it's brilliant is because so many times in this chat today, people have been like, oh, these guys are all fucking awesome creators. But everyone in this panel has a partner that they work with very closely on at least one. Well, you do. You have what is it, Giovanni Barunda or whatever it is? Yeah, right. Like you have. I couldn't remember that. He's such a good dude too.
Yeah.
So the fact that I forgot his name makes me a total piece of shit. But all of us have partners that we rely on and we all work on. And if at any point you look at any one of us and say that person has it all together, no, we don't. We have enough together that the other person is able to help and support with the rest of it. And we also, have people in other people in our lives who help with that shit and whatnot. So, have people in your lives that you can support and will support you. That's a massive, huge. So yes, Shaun, good call on that one, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. So I have 2 points that are really quick, really two different types of things. One of the things that we like to do, Chuck, use the phrase "skin in the game." Jim, shut your mouth. Use the phrase "skin in the game" earlier, and I'm going to use it in a different way. Everybody talks about advertising when they're doing Kickstarters. Some of the most important advertising you can do is to other creators. So every time you set a Kickstarter up, Steph and I do it every single campaign. Okay, how much money do we want to spend on advertising? And most of our advertising is, let's put it back into other people's Kickstarters. Because even if you are backing a digital tier, you're just backing an entry-level tier just to help that other creator, you've now created goodwill within the community. You are helping out other people that are doing the same thing that you're doing, that are struggling the same way you are. You're helping them to get a base, because a lot of times people on Kickstarter will follow you. And if you back Shaun Barbour and Belial, somebody that follows me is going to say, hey, Matt Knowles just backed Belial, or Symmetry Creations just backed Belial. So our backers or our followers may see that, they may go and back that campaign. So it's not just about, if all we were doing was passing the $5 bill back and forth between each other, nobody would rise. But by doing that, you're helping those people, and maybe you're getting some eyes on there that other people aren't. The other thing that I would say, which to me is, I cannot stress this enough. If you are a creator, if you are Chuck that has got a lot of titles that he does, if you are Jim, for the love of God, that has got 857 billion different versions of stuff, when you set up your Kickstarter campaign, you have to put a tier at the very end that has got every possible thing that you could possibly put into that tier. We put it out there in this campaign that has 35 different covers. Now for Jim, that's like, one pressing of an issue. 35 different covers across different things, leatherwork, woodwork, whatever it is. And I said, Steph, how much do you think this is? And she gave me a number. I'm like, no, it's $869. And that's giving a discount off of what the shelf price would be. We had no clue that somebody would take a tier like that. And if you go look at our campaign, that tier, that sale number is greater than zero. I think we have 2 that took that. But you know what? If we didn't let them know that that was there, people are not going to come to us and go, oh, your top dollar tier is $200. Can I spend $800 and something on you? No, they're not going to do that, because they don't even know that that's possible. Don't be afraid to put a tier out there with a ridiculous number on it if you can back it up with your merch. Last campaign, we had the Dragon Lord masks. Those things were almost $300 a piece. We didn't think anybody was going to buy them, and we sold 6.
And that's actually a really good point. Even when you're talking about your tiers and whatnot, I saw someone, I was going over somebody's thing, and I can't remember who it was, but I think they had like 5, 10, 15, 20, and then they went to 95 or something like that, or 100. And I was like, whoa. You just left a lot. Like that's a massive fuck up. And what a lot of people don't realize is money doesn't work the same way, the way that a lot of people look, and they go, well, if you're willing to spend 75, you'll spend 100. No, it doesn't work like that. So if they're willing to spend 75, but the highest tier that they can get is 20, guess what, honey? They're spending $20. You just lost $55 because you didn't put anything else between 20 and 100. So you really got to think about that stuff and kind of have those holes. And so when Matt says something like, have a $1,000 tier, yeah, maybe it's ridiculous, but if someone has $1,000 that they want to invest in you, why are you saying no?
Yeah.
Like right away? Why are you saying no? That's stupid.
Why would you do that?
Well, and Trish just brought up a good point in the chat. I'm going to single Trish out. She said, thanks for having catch-up tiers for me and Mike. We always need them because we're late to the party. With Trish and Mike, they were like, hey, we want to get these things, but we don't see this tier on your campaign. We could have been like, well, too bad. You got to go find these pieces and add them together. And sometimes you're still going to have to do that because you can't have literally 500 tiers. I think we have 38 tiers on there, but we had 37 before Trish brought that to us. And she said there was a logical tier that we didn't have up there. We're like, Steph and I were like, wow, wait, we don't have this up there. That's crazy. We need to put this up there. It was something simple like we want to catch up in print. We didn't have a Heirs trade, Nocturnia trade, and Nightmare Scenario trade. That might not have been what the tier was, but I think it was. We were like, holy crap, we got to go create that tier right now for them so they'll go and take it. Once we did that, somebody else went, and there's been a couple other people that took that tier too. Don't be afraid to go and add things on there or add things into add-ons now on Kickstarter after the campaign starts, because just because you miss it at the beginning doesn't mean it's going to hurt you to add it on as the campaign goes along.
Shaun and I, for Belial 2, that was our biggest tier. We literally had a tier called Late to the Party, and it was issues 1 and 2. And that sold higher than any other tier.
There's always going to be new people. Absolutely. Always going to be new people. Do not leave them out.
No.
Yeah. You're going to lose people very quickly if you assume that everybody is... if you assume that everybody has already read your stuff prior to that. Did I miss something? I saw like Chuck and Matt like both react.
Oh no, I wasn't reacting to anything. No, I think there was symbiosis because of the red shirts because I wasn't doing anything other than scratching my hat a little bit.
I'm just ready to jump in as soon as you were done.
Are we paired up by color right now on the screen? Are we paired up by color right now? We got the reds.
Oh wow!
The red, the bald, and the blue.
This is kind of weird. This is really Star Warsy right now. This is really bizarre.
Yeah.
So Brett Giuliano had a comment here, and I'm going to ask Brett a question if you can respond back in here. So Brett, he says, for my current campaign, a volume 3. I have a digital print and catch-up tiers, which have brought in a significant portion of funds. So, Brett, I want to ask you, do you have your campaign named as Volume 3 or Volume 1 through 3? And I say that because there was another creator that had his campaign up, and he was like, such and such issue 3. I cannot stress enough, and it is a proven thing. No. If you are offering everything back to the beginning, make sure it's in your title. Make sure it is Volume 1 through 3. Make sure everybody knows right there. Good. So Brett said Volume 1 through 3, because people need to see that visual of I can go in and get started right from the beginning. Because the people are like, I'm going to go check out Essence House number 7. We're going to be like, well, dude, I don't know what was 1 through 6. So how the heck am I going to jump into an audio drama six episodes in? They need to know that they can immediately see that visual. I can get in from the beginning and go from there. And that creator that I talked to that had his campaign showing as number 3 is like, I strongly suggest you'd make that 1 through 3. And he did. And he said he saw a significant change in his campaign at that point.
So Katrina, not yours, but yes, fill in that gap. I actually, to be honest, I see it an awful lot. It's something that comes up way more than hopefully it should.
During the Essence House campaign, we had a big discussion about that because I could not figure out how to fill in a gap like that.
Yeah.
And that was a struggle.
I'm all about filling gaps.
Katrina, I don't know what stuff you have on your campaign. We backed it a while ago. I don't remember the other tiers. I know you've got Tales from the Toy Store and you've got some other books that you've worked on. Is it possible to put some of those things together and fill that gap between 40 and 100 so that there's a stepping stone? I really am glad Chuck, that you brought that up, because if you go to the movie theater, and I know Steph worked at a movie theater before, there's a pricing thing where people are like, oh, small is $8, medium is $9, a large is $9.50. They don't want you to buy the small and the medium because they're like, that large thing is so much, is just right there. They want you to spend that last little bit to get to that big tier. If you can get people's eyes raised up there where they don't think it's that big of a deal to go to that next tier, there's going to be a much bigger chance. So yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up.
Art of upselling.
Yeah.
And guys, be obvious about everything you do. don't make people read into everything. Be obvious. Keep things as targeted as you can for whatever audience you're shooting for. And if you have multiple audiences or the opportunity to bring in multiple audiences, cultivate that and change your wording, like Jim was saying with the different posts in a different group. Word your same post differently to cater to that group or those people. Don't be afraid to change up what you're doing. So be obvious.
And I think I can speak for everybody here too. Katrina said she's open to ideas. There's another creator, and I'm going to actually go and take this into the 6 of us that are sitting in this chat. There's another creator that's out there, brand new creator, first time writer. He put his campaign out there, and it was not going well. And he could have cried in his Cheerios. Woe is me. What he did was he put a post up saying, guys, my campaign is not going the way it needs to go. I need some help. Tell me what I need to do. He reached out and he wanted to learn. Steph and I actually sat on a chat with him just the other day. The guy has retooled his campaign. He's doing much better. And right now, I mean, not sure if he's going to fund, but he's definitely on a trajectory that says it's very possible that he will. Whereas a week beforehand, there was no way he was going to. You always have to be open to learn new things. While the 6 of us are on here talking, we are by no means people at the top of the food chain. I can tell you creators right off the top of my head. Charlie Stickney just killed it. Madeline Holly Rosing just killed it. Molly Schofield killed it. Russell Nofield kills it. Brian Polito launched yesterday and he's at $150,000. Now, by now he's probably at $200,000. So none of us, if you take the 6 of us and put our most recent campaigns together, we still don't equal one Brian Polito. We don't think we know.
Technically, if we add up all of our campaigns.
Not all of our campaigns. Not all. I'm just saying, I'm not talking every campaign ever run. But what I'm saying is, while we aren't here, while we're telling you the things that work for us, we don't think we know it all. If we have this conversation again in a year, I guarantee you every single one of the 6 of us is going to say something different. All we're giving you is, if you're somebody that is aspiring to be at the level of Jim Noble or in Synergy Creations, or where Shaun and Chuck are, or where Eric and Chuck are, we're trying to help you guys to at least get to that level, to not hit the same pitfalls that we've seen, and to grow the same way we are, because we want to be a year from now. We want to be where Charlie Stickney is, or David Byrne, or Madeline Holly Rosing. And the only way we're going to get there is if we open up our ears and shut our mouths and listen to those guys and see what they're doing.
You know what's a cool tool is the preview link that you get from Kickstarter. Like I post that to Indie Comics Conspiracy, and I ask anybody have any thoughts, and they read through my page, and I've always got things that I've changed based on that, like every single time.
That's one good thing about finding the right group that fits you too. So finding the right people that'll back you up and stuff, that's always a good thing. Surround yourself with success and you'll manage your way through it. So like Jim was saying and everybody else is, we are not the most successful, but we're closer to the ground level. So our experiences might be closer to your experiences at this time. Hopefully if any of us reach the Polito level, we can pay people to help us be successful and we won't have to work so hard. We're in the trenches along with you guys, and we'd love to see any one of you people that commented or anybody that watches this afterwards become more successful than me, so that way you remember me and maybe you can help me out when you get big. It's an investment. Everything is investment.
So who wants to take Brett's question? I've talked a lot. Brett just asked a really good question, and I think that's something that you guys can answer.
What about guest art, especially original art from other creators taking on characters from your story?
Wait, okay. Hold on. Explain that question to me. I'm confused.
What he wants to know is we've talked about different ideas for different things you can put in your campaign. And I think Brett is asking, what do you think about having somebody, do like a pinup of one of your characters that's not a part of the actual issue? Is that a good idea?
Crossover Central right here.
Crossover promotions.
Yeah.
I do that every single campaign with various different people. Like this last Kickstarter that I did a cross promo with a guy that I've never even heard of, and I got more backers on the cross promo thing than I expected, honestly. Like I got like 20 backers from it. I'm like, and they were all from his campaign. I was like, that's really neat. And like Wendy Steen Shaner, I do a lot of cross promos of her, and basically whoever's running a Kickstarter, I try to do cross promos of everybody that I possibly can. I've done. Chuck, didn't we do a promo? Or we talked about doing a promo at one point.
We talked about it. It didn't end up happening, but we did do lots of like live chats and talking about each other's stuff and whatnot.
And we also shared the same, like Steph Wilson. Steph Wilson was on both our campaigns. So it's easy to cross promote and be like, hey, by the way, if you like Steph Wilson, you also like him on Belial or Totally Rad.
Yeah.
I love cross promos. Like I'm always like, I even like sometimes like I'll reach out to like publishers, like Jim Hanna, who did Kill Count. He was doing it's a 1980s based book, and I reached out to him. I said, hey man, you got a retailer exclusive option. Can we do a cross promo cover where it's my character and your character on the retailer exclusive? And he's like, I didn't even think about that. I was like, that's really, really cool. Let's do it. And I try to do that like as much as I can, like even like with campaigns that don't offer it. I'm like, hey, you should do a retailer exclusive. And like there was I can't remember the name off the top of my head. The flesh-eating cheerleaders from outer space. I said, hey man, have you ever thought about doing a retailer exclusive? He's like, no, I've never, like, and he's done multiple campaigns. I'm like, hey man, you should do a retailer exclusive. I'd buy in on it. And he's like, I don't even know what I would charge. I'm like, here, let me tell you what I do. Like as a publisher, here's what normally I charge people who want to do retailer exclusives, because I have multiple retailer shops that sell exclusives of my books. So I'm like, this is what I do, and they liked it. And so like now we have a flesh-eating zombie or flesh-eating cheerleaders from outer space with my Totally Rad babes from outer space on the cover. Like that would have never happened if I didn't reach out. That would never happen. Like you got to reach out and touch someone.
So it looks like we have some good news and some bad news for Brian Manell, don't we, Chuck? The good news is we're still here. The bad news is we answered your question 30 minutes ago, and you're going to have to go back you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to watch the replay to be able to see your question gets answered. But we did answer your question, and just know we talked about you while you were gone behind your back. So that's the case.
Behind your back, in front of you, in front of everybody else.
If I could throw one more thing as far as the marketing stuff. Be conscious of your off season. So don't just represent your book or anything else during the campaign, please. Make sure that you represent consistently. Talk about other people and associate their projects. Make sure that you support other people as well as your own along the way, because those words have just as much impact with your identity when you get to the point that you're running a campaign as when you're running a campaign. You have so much more opportunity. You spend 1 month in Kickstarter. You've got 11 other months that you have full of opportunity to create, network, support, build, learn, teach even. Yeah. Like that, you have to be open to all of that stuff. So don't just operate in the off season, and please, for the love of God, be as positive as you can during that time too. Yeah. If your struggles, reach out. Don't become a soundboard for your negativity. Be somebody who's willing to take the opportunity to learn and know who would reach out, because you know who's willing to teach.
There are some creators that we see and we say, oh, they must be getting ready to run a Kickstarter, because they suddenly start posting all of a sudden. They come out of hiding and they start being involved and everything. And we notice that kind of stuff, guys.
Oh, look who's back.
And you know what else too? On the flip side of that, the worst thing that you can do as a creator, please, I beg you, do not ever do this. When your campaign is over, don't go, I'm really tired. I had a really exhausting Kickstarter. I'm going to remove myself from social media for the next month. You cannot do that, because you know what that says to people is you're only important to me when I'm running a Kickstarter. Yeah. And that doesn't mean you're not going to be tired. Hey, we get it. People are going to be tired. But you know what? And people don't expect you to be as involved, and people honestly don't want you to be as involved when you don't have a Kickstarter going. But if you tell people straight up, guys, guess what? I'm done with my Kickstarter. I'm out of here. People remember that the next time.
Yeah.
People remember that the next time.
I've been promoting a Kickstarter that's coming out in July. I was promoting that Kickstarter before I had launched a Kickstarter in March, like 2 weeks before I launched that Kickstarter in March. I was like, by the way, I'm doing another Kickstarter in July, and it's like I haven't even launched the one that's about to happen. I'm like, for me, like I'm constantly doing things, even if it's not Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Like I got a web store, so I'm like, well, I got to get web store sales. I can always put out, a small book on my web store, 8-page book. People buy, like, it's a holiday. Star Wars, May the 4th, Star Wars month. Let's do Star Wars related variants with my characters. Or it's Halloween, it's Christmas. Exploit the holidays. That's another tip. Exploit every possible holiday that you think that would work for your book. If your characters are Gothic characters, Goth Day is May 22nd. Do a Goth Day variant. Or, if you're very patriotic, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, you name it, they got it. They got a day for it. President's Day, you got a book about a president, do President's Day promotions.
Sean, let's do a Belial Arbor Day. We could do it.
Shouldn't you be doing Boxing Day?
You can make it your own. Because think about it, right? Who else is going to be promoting a book on that specific day? It could be your day.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Get Belial in some boxers for Boxing Day.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian
like
Manel. Brian Manel, one other thing real quick, man. When you go back, I don't think you were on when we got the 5th person to back. So there's a little tasty little nugget in there. There's a little tasty little nugget in there that you probably are going to want to crank the speakers up really loud, open the windows, make sure the neighbors are outside doing something, and then go scare them with the amazingness that was up there.
Can that get on the next vinyl?
Yeah, that's gonna be the bonus track.
If we got to 1,000 backers at some point, we would do some kind of nonsense like that.
I mean, yeah.
I've already made it a clip for my ringtone whenever Chuck contacts me.
Oh shit. Do we have much more to talk about?
I think we've been at it for almost 2.5 hours. I know everybody's butt is probably on fire right now. We probably should wrap it up.
Well, that's a separate issue, but okay.
Yeah, I started that way.
Man, look at this. I like how Jim is up here. Jim is doing a great Vanna White.
I came prepared. I don't know about you guys, but like literally, I got posters and trays, a mask. I had the shirt on earlier, but I had to wash it, so I'm not wearing the shirt.
And you know what? And one of the things too, Jim, everything that Jim just held up there, if you go back our campaign and you look at the add-ons, everything he had up there is in there in the campaign. If we have anything left of them, so that you could get, we make sure everything is out there. Don't be like Jim is special. He got a trade paperback. I don't get one. You can get one too.
Yeah.
So Chuck, is there any last word of anything about anything that you want to pimp about yourself, about the things that you have going on? So when we get off of this show, that people could go and follow you, or what's the project that you're working on you're most excited about, anything along those lines?
I mean, I have a lot of stuff going on, so please just stay tuned, and stay tuned to all of these people, because everybody has certain things coming on, but not to take too much wind out of a certain person's sail, but right now, the audio drama Essence or Children of the Essence is going on. Episode 2 is out there. Just came out on Wednesday, right, buddy?
Yeah, just yesterday.
Yeah, just yesterday.
Episode.
It was our 25th episode. And what I would like to tell people is, I know, like, you hear 25 episodes. Yeah, I know. But because each of them are surrounded by our books and they make up our books, you can actually start season 3 without listening to the previous 2 seasons. It is a great place to start if you're not. I have that too, buddy. It's up on my wall though. It's a great place to start. If you're brand new, you can just start on season 3, and then if you want to go back, it will give a lot of what's going on in season 3, more context and more lore and all that kind of stuff. But I would love it if you guys went out and checked out Children of the Essence. I think you guys will enjoy it an awful lot. And just my name's Chuck. I give a fuck. You can track me down on all of the that's my tagline. Make your own tagline, by the way, guys. That works too. It does.
Nothing rhymes with Eric.
Eric. prick.
Okay, let's revisit that.
But anyways, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at ChuckyPin. You can find, of course, this show. You can like and subscribe and check me out on YouTube. But you can always track me down. Eric, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, spent a lot of time on the Essence stuff. So check out Essence House. Actually, theessenceguard.com or essencehousestory.com are good places to. We're on every platform. And if you find that we're not on a platform, let us know and we'll get on there. That was a big initiative in our first season. I think we did pretty well. And then I announced like a week ago that I'm working on putting together my Blister comic as a trade paperback, like the full complete story. I wrote it as a novel 5 years ago, and I started adapting stories from it into the comics, and I decided to sit down and do the entire story now. So in August, I'm kickstarting that. So that's my next big thing.
So Shaun, we're going to go to you. We're going to change it up. You're going to Shaun first, then we're going to go up top. So Shaun, what you got, man?
For me, I know that I'm finishing up doing inks on a book for a Kickstarter that was launched a while back. It's way behind. I've got another one kind of in the works. I can't talk too much about because I don't know how long that'll take. But it was a 50-50 shot on whether or not I was going to have the second issue books on my doorstep when I came home, and that we would have had an unboxing with you guys here tonight. So I'm expecting to get those in. So Belial issue number 2 is going to be on my doorstep. I should be putting that together. And my focus right now is making sure that those get out before I bring on anything new to my table. So,
all right, Psych, we're going to go to Steph now.
So we are mere hours away from our Kickstarter ending. It ends on Sunday. So
Sunday.
We are very, very close to making this our most successful campaign dollar-wise so far. We would love to hit that. I don't want to say goal, but we would love to have that happen. As far as the other things that we are working on, we are working on other things. We are going to go straight into Perilous Prospects. And we are also working on a couple of other things that we can't quite mention right now, but we will be able to soon. And like Matt mentioned earlier, they're fun, G-rated. It's going to be stuff it's going to be something that we haven't done yet at all. And I think people will be surprised to see us involved in it, but it's going to be fun.
All right, so Jim, you are pumped up and ready to go up there, man. What do you want to promote that you can promote in less than 1.6 seconds? And go. Just kidding.
Okay. Well, first, Chuck and Shaun, am I allowed to say who you use as a printer? Because I know who you use.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we use the same printer. Hero and Villain Design, and if you're ever curious about why we use such a lovely, wonderful indie comic book printer, it's because of the quality. And when I say quality, I mean if you were to get your books graded like so, you'd possibly get a 9.9 or a 10. Now I will tell you this, I submitted 11 books. I got 8 9.9s and 2 10s and 3 9.8s. No, wait, that doesn't add up to 11. So I got 6 9.9s, 3 9.8s, and 2 10s. So
math is power.
More 9.9s and 10s than 9.8s. So Hero and Villain Design, check them out. Yeah. They do stickers, they do comic books, they do trade paperbacks now. They just got the perfect binder. They do banners and really affordable banners. It's con season's coming up. Cons are coming back. If you guys really need an affordable banner, check them out. They'll give you a good price on them. And of course, there's me. I'm Jimmy Noble. You can find me at Totally Rad Comics. Totally Rad Comics on Facebook. Totally Rad Comics is now on Instagram. Please do not follow the Jim.E.Noble on Instagram because I will deny your request to follow me because Instagram is my private where I like to post food.
Food?
I'm changing it up. I'm going from posting indie comics on my personal Instagram to posting food. No,
He's going from nude to food.
What if you're somebody that wants to see pictures of food? You're gonna deny them?
Well, really, honestly, I just don't use my personal Instagram because I'm always on Facebook. So it's easier for me to manage a Totally Rad Comics Instagram as opposed to my own, because it's like, what did I do today? Am I just going to post a selfie of me? Here I am playing Call of Duty. Yeah,
I was going to say there has to be some sort of eating going on in Jim's books.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
snap!
And you can find me on Facebook, Jim E. Noble. Just please, if you add me on Facebook and we don't know each other, just reach out and talk to me. Have a conversation. Do not, I just can't stress this enough. Do not, and there's another tip. Do not send me a invite to like your page if I don't know who you are. You know, come on, a conversation is much easier to engage than to send someone a like and then have them hate you forever. I don't know. It is me.
Forever's a long time.
Yeah, that is a long.
That's a long time.
So, like Steph said, we have our Kickstarter that's going on for Heirs of Isildur versus Tales from Nocturnia, a comic, a album, splatter vinyl. There's some leather work up there. There's all kinds of cool covers, Garbage Pail Kids homages. We have been on this long enough. We've gone from 70 hours to 69 hours down to 68 hours. Anybody that knows math knows that's only going to happen 68 more times until we are at 0. Until this campaign is over, done, nada. We want you to be in and be involved in this campaign, not just because obviously when you run a campaign, you want to get backers, you want to get dollars, but we really believe in our product. We believe in the story. We believe in the experience of what we do. And we feel like you are going to feel like it was money well invested for your personal collection to be involved in the campaign. And isn't that what we all want? We all want to feel like we're not just flushing money down the toilet. You're going to be investing in two creators that really have a passion for what we do and really want to see what we do grow. And like we said, we really believe in the story. We really believe in the music that's on there, and we really want you to be a part of it as well. There you go. Matt Knowles and Steph Cannon. That's right. So if you haven't checked it out, the link is in the comments. If you want to follow us outside of there, you can go to InSim on Facebook, InSim Creations on Twitter. You can go to insymmetrycreations.com, and you can also go to Insymmetry Creations on Instagram, that other thing. And like Chuck just said, he's going to be in Houston. We just were able to announce today, because we just got the word back yesterday. We were supposed to be at GalaxyCon Raleigh last year, and it obviously got canceled. There was some stuff we had to work through, and we finally just officially got word back yesterday that we are going to be actually listed as Insymmetry Creations on the show floor at GalaxyCon Raleigh at the end of July, which is something that's super exciting to us. We're totally stoked about that. So we actually get to take our talents to North Carolina, you know, in the old LeBron way. So we're really pumped up about that, and we're super stoked. So unless anybody else has anything else they want to say, my name is Chuck, and I don't give a poopy. Jim,
I don't think I've ever said that word in my life.
Hey, I was trying.
Matt says the word poopy way more than any of
I've never said it.
I'm just letting you guys know right now.
What you got, Jim?
I totally forgot. I will be at the Suncoast Comic-Con on May 29th through the 30th in Sarasota, Florida.
Isn't that bullcrap? I'm like, dude, there's so many people going to be in Sarasota. I'm not going to be there. It's like an
Why
hour
are you
and a
going to
half.
be there? Come see me.
Well, it's 2 hours away, man. But still,
I'm flying on a plane.
I know.
He
plane
is saying that he will not drive 2 hours to see you. Did you
Well,
just hear that?
hey, you know what? I actually am busy that weekend, which I didn't even realize that show was going on. But you know what, Chuck? When Chuck was just down here in Florida, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make the event. There was about 18, 20 people there, and literally the thing that pushed me over the edge going, there's no way I can't make this thing. Chuck's like, yeah, man, me and Wendy are driving in from Texas. I'm like, well, crap. I'm like, he's literally going to be driving in from Texas.
When Chuck and Wendy drive in from Texas, it's, I got to be there. But when I fly in from Texas,
well, here's the thing.
I know.
I actually didn't know it was 4:50 the day before that I was actually going to be able to make it. And, but I was glad that I was able to make it because Chuck and Wendy are great people, fun people. One of the funny things is I got a ton of pictures with Chuck from MegaCon 2019, got a ton of pictures of Chuck from this past weekend. And if you see them, no, you're not seeing double. No, Chuck did not go through a time warp. No, he actually was wearing the same shirt.
Yeah.
I looked at him. I was like, hold on for a second. I'm like,
I just love that shirt.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I just don't want. I mean, we do have time travel stories, and I want to make sure that we let people know that you did not actually travel through a portal. You traveled through a car.
It's for the paparazzis. That way you can't sell more
Yeah.
photos of Chuck. He's always wearing the
See,
same
you
shirt.
get it.
Man.
Hey, I want to do it. I want to do a shout out because Larry's on here, and he said you get music, you get comics, and some of that goes to Corey's family. And Larry's also runs a pretty freaking awesome show, and I just wanted to make sure that we give him a shout out there.
Yeah, and everybody's spinning their Brian Manell, so someone needs to bring a cardboard cutout of me. Well, that would be really interesting. But there's a lot of people otherwise that are creators that have posted their links in the chat. Make sure you go back and take a look at that. I know Katrina's got a Kickstarter going on right now. I know that there was at least one other one. Who else was in there that has Brett Giuliano? Brett Giuliano's got a Kickstarter going on right now. Definitely go back through and scroll through. Don't just look at the 6 of us that are here. Go look at the people that are in the chat as well, and try and see if you can support them as well. We really appreciate everybody that is backed even during the show, and let's see what we can do to be able to make this the best campaign we've ever had, guys. Anybody else have anything else they want to say to take us out, or Chuck, do you want to take us out?
Keep it into y'all.
I like it. Let's do that.